Right, what's up, everybody? This is the first episode of the Between Sets Powerlifting podcast. We decided to call it Between Sets because whenever we're training at Circle City Strength together, we're always yapping between sets. And we decided that, like, why not make a podcast that kind of captures us yapping between sets about various powerlifting things. So, yeah, we decided. What better thing to do than talk about powerlifting American nationals, which we have two people from, right? Am I missing anyone? Who else is going from the gym?
Think it's just me and you.
I think it's
Yeah,
just
so
y'all two because Carmen's not doing it. Lori
yeah.
moved, but she's not doing it. And then a lot of people, I'm getting married, so I won't be there.
Yeah, so Joey decided to get married during
Not dedicated.
powerlifting American nationals, so he will not be there.
I will be trying to keep up as much as I can during my wedding weekend. That, according to Dev, he's also somehow going to do both, but that's
I might show up.
Yeah, we'll
we
see.
may, we may
All
get a
right.
guest
Do
appearance.
we
But
want to introduce
uh,
ourselves, Jackie? You want to tell people who you are?
Sure. So, starting off, my name's Jackie Malater. I've been powerlifting for like 5 years now. I think coming up in May, that's when I started training 5 years ago for the first time. Um, and throughout, I started off like very mediocre, and I just kept, getting more obsessed with the sport and training hard. And this year I find myself trying to compete for a spot on the world's team in my weight class. So that's cool. And what else? I'm also a PhD student in engineering at Purdue. So yeah.
Who's your coach?
Oh, my coach. My coach is Kelly Mann. Uh, she's been my coach for over a year now. It's been great. We're best buds. Yeah.
Nice. Well, my name is Devin Williams. Most people call me Big Dev. I've been competing since I think 2019, so like 6-ish years of powerlifting. I played sports my whole life, so I got the sports background. I'm in the 120 kilo class. I'm also competing for a spot on the USA Worlds team. All things, as long as all things go well. I am on the flex squad, coached by Michael Davis, and I currently hold the world record for bench press in my weight class. Other than that, I'm pretty mediocre in some areas, but battling through some injuries, trying to get back to tip-top shape. Hopefully, getting a ticket to Worlds soon.
and
Nice.
I'm Joey Shepard, mainly known as Joey Bags of Donut. I just realized this Zoom is based on my work interview, so it's Joe Shepard on here. No one calls me Joe, but
Who's Joe?
um, I've been in powerlifting for a decade at this point. Not very good at it. I will not be competing for any world championships or world teams, but huge fan of the sport. Me and my fiance, soon to be wife, own Circle City Strength. We've directed meets since 2021, so going on 4 years in three different federations. And I referee, spot a mode, coach, compete. I'm in a lot of different avenues of the sport. And really, I just call myself a pretty big super fan of powerlifting.
I
Yo,
would say
Joe.
that's true, yeah.
Did you say you own
Um,
Circle City?
Yep, me and
Okay,
Aaron own Circle Say Strength and run meets out of there for right now USAPL and Powerlifting United, and we're a host venue for Powerlifting America meets what that Chloe Nutt runs.
very
nice.
nice. That's where me and Jackie train usually.
Well, I
That
would
and the
love to
Pizza
train
Hut.
there more, but I'm stuck
Yeah, me
here
more
an hour
so.
away in a powerlifting gym desert.
Hey, Voss is pretty nice, man.
What do you mean? Pizza Hut is the top powerlifting gym in Indiana.
I was so tired of all the gyms here. I spent thousands of dollars to just build my own gym in my garage because I was like, this is ass. Like, uh,
All
the
right, you
Vasa
want to?
benches are so whack because like you can't even like my arms are short. So like I have to start with like the bar like 2 inches from my face because there's only 3 levels. And then I can like not unrack it and it just looks so stupid. And I know I'm being judged because
And you get a random gym bro to give you a handoff, and then he's gonna be like
Oh
finger
gosh.
touching your bar saying it's all you, bro. While
Yeah,
you're
or like
morphing them.
unsolicited, do you need a spot? Like,
You train at the one next to that Sam's Club up there in Lafayette?
sure do.
I used to go there, and no one has ever accused me of steroids, but one time I was squatting 405, so not an impressive weight at all. And I had these two high schoolers come over to me and like, "Whoa, man, is that 405?" They're like, "Are you natural?" And I'm like, "Bro, I bench 500 here regularly. Why are you coming up to me while I'm squatting 405?" I just
Look, if
messed
there's
up.
if there's any lift to accuse you of anything, it's not squat.
Not my squat. That is correct. Yeah, that's a funny story.
I mean, you can squat more than me, so that's pretty cool.
Well, I sure hope so. I'm literally twice your body weight. And I have a little more testosterone.
Just a little.
Anyway, you want to explain how we're going to go through this PA Nats preview?
Yeah, so we've decided to organize it. We're gonna go through each weight class ascending and we'll alternate between the men's and the women's weight classes. So we'll start with the women's and we'll go, men, women, yada yada yada. Um and but before we get started with that, we're also going to talk about the things that are on the line for Powerlifting American Nationals. So it's not just trying to qualify for a world spot, but we can talk about like how people qualify and whatnot. But other opportunities that people are also fighting for, which makes it a little more interesting to fight for placing. Because like a few years ago, you might have just like done anything, like gone for like a victory deadlift, because all that really mattered was like essentially pulling for the win. So we'll go over that and then yeah, we'll just yap about the weight classes.
Yeah. Joey, you wanna outline some of the obvious things for the
Yeah,
higher
so
placing?
for those of you who don't know, obviously, Worlds is on the line, so it's not the only way to get to Worlds is not winning. So there's going to be the highest total between 2025 Sheffield, that was late January, and Powerlifting American Nationals. So there's a handful of lifters missing from Powerlifting American Nationals due to their Sheffield total. Notably, and hopefully I don't miss anyone on this, that we're missing is Waskar Carpio is just leading on his total from Sheffield. Austin Perkins at 74. Technically, Russ Orhe, even though from everyone's understanding, he's going up to 93 and will not be doing Worlds either way. He's just doing World Games this year, but he is missing from Powerlifting American Nationals. And then Jesus Oliveira. So from what I'm seeing, all women are showing up, but there are four
Mm.
men that are missing and just banking on their Sheffield total being enough. If someone from Powerlifting American Nationals beats that Sheffield total, they would then be going to Worlds. But if someone wins Nationals and does not beat that total, the total from Sheffield will be going to Worlds. And as Jackie pointed out, this meet, they're also qualifying for SBD Austin. Last year was SBD Raleigh. This year it's SBD Austin. So that will be, if it's based on last year, the top 10 percentage to American records for non-national winners and non-worlds teams athletes. So the American record for each going into this meet, the percentage of that for non-world team athletes will get invited to SBD Austin, and then there'll be wild cards outside of it. So essentially, US's version of Sheffield, with how deep the Americas are. Americans,
Mhm.
some of these podium athletes would be podium at Worlds if it was at Worlds, but instead they will be just fighting for a spot just due to the depth. And then also there will be Powerlifting America Rising Tide that will have a similar structure. I think they're doing the top Goodlift points, top 12 Goodlift points, getting invited to Rising Tides. I think how
Yeah.
Kevin is doing it. And then also there's opportunities for NAPF as well, North American Powerlifting Federation. The big thing with NAPF that makes it an interesting choice for athletes is one, you can break world records. That's where Dev got his open world record bench from last year was NAPF, and Gavin broke the open 93 total record, as well as it is a regional competition. So technically it can be your route to Sheffield, because we've seen now for the wild cards, A handful of lifters get invited from regional competitions. So it does turn an interesting thing to Jackie's point, whether you're pulling for the win to try to go to Worlds, whether you try to pull for a secure second or third, whether that's for NAPF, SBD Austin, or Rising Tide. Powerlifting America starting to have more and more meets for those elite level lifters who may not be on a Worlds team at a certain year.
Yeah. And you could do more than one this year. So Austin got moved to November, and I think NAPF is like somewhere around
July.
August,
Yeah,
July.
July or August. It's in the summer, and then that's in Costa Rica this year.
I think it's
Cayman
the Cayman
Islands.
Cayman
Islands.
Islands.
Costa
Yeah.
Rica, I think, is Junior Worlds this
Junior
year.
Worlds. Yeah.
Yeah, and they put the Austin before Thanksgiving. So
That's
that's
very
great.
nice.
Love that. And yeah, you can actually break national records this year
Yeah, that's pretty
at that
sick.
meet.
At Raleigh, you
So
couldn't break them. It was just a local meet technically. So I don't know if this is a national meet then technically.
No, it's the signature sanction series,
Oh,
basically
signature
giving over
sanction.
$5,000. So
Gotcha.
we haven't really seen the signature sanction series kind of be developed yet, but it was announced about a year ago where if it's over $5,000 cash prizes, it goes under a different sanction than local meets. You can break American records, all of that. So excited to see how that plays out this year at Austin.
Yeah.
I'm hoping there'll be drug testing.
That's up to USADA, and I'm gonna not comment on that one.
Yeah, we can hope.
You
I
know,
think
I haven't been drug tested since May of like 2 years ago.
that's actually crazy.
That's crazy. I've added like
You must not be a very competitive powerlifter to not be drug
no, I
tested.
must suck. I've added like 80 kilos to my total, but whatever.
I think one other thing to add in the to add to the discussion of not pulling for the win to save yourself like a high second or third, if you were say in second place and instead of pulling for the win, you just want to bump your total up like 10 keys. If for some reason the winner of that weight class dropped out, it wouldn't automatically go to you filling that world spot next. It goes based on like I believe percentage to world record at that point.
Hmm.
So like
Yeah.
say Bob was competing this year and instead of pulling to beat Bob, I just pulled to add 10 kilos and then Bob drops out because he's too cool for nationals. I wouldn't automatically go to Worlds because Bob drops out. Someone else in a different weight class might get that spot. So a lot to consider when taking that last pool.
Yeah, there's a lot on the line as far as handlers. Having a good game day handler has never been as important at Powerlifting American Nationals as is this year, just to understand all the different options. And there will probably be people who don't realize this, go for a certain pool to try to win or for a certain place and miss out on other opportunities. So I
Yeah.
definitely make sure you are all aware of what you guys are competing for by the time Nationals comes around in a couple weeks.
Yeah, so maybe I can ask an interesting question to each of you. Say you're in a position to pull for a win. It's like a risky deadlift. It's not like a completely stupid, you're gonna miss a deadlift, but it's risky. Uh, or you could pull a little bit less and, qualify for all these cool things. So pull for the win. It's risky. We'll say you have like a, I don't know, 25% chance of making it. 20%.
Dang.
What are you gonna do? Are you gonna pull for the win? Or are you gonna hold back and, accept the other things that you might be able to do?
You want to go first, Joey?
I'll speak to it from a coach. From a coach's perspective, one, a lot of times in these situations, I'll ask an athlete, do you want to essentially YOLO for the win or do you want to pull to secure something? So I think it depends as a coach's perspective on the athlete's attitude towards things. I have some athletes where they'd be like, I want to pull for the win. I don't care if I have a 5% chance. Awesome, let's go for it. And I have others who's like, I'd rather secure second, a silver, whatever. So I think it does depend on athlete's personality. I'd argue in this situation, I think most, and this could be wrong, would say let's pull for the win, partially off of Austin having wild cards. And I think if it's a legitimate, like you have a shot to pull, you're gonna pull to your knees, pull to your hips. I think a lot of people would just kind of choose of I think I can get picked as a wild card on this, and I'd still rather take my swing at Worlds. I also think it depends on if you're pulling last. I know this is a big debate on two white lights. Pulling for the win right now is, I guess, a debated turn that some people say they're going to pull for the lead and pull for first, but there's someone with a heavier pull. So it also depends, are you the final deadlifter? Because if you're not the
Mm.
final deadlifter, you could pull to go into first place, but give your opponent a very easy and secure pull. And now you're enforced. I think there's a lot dependent on it, but I think for a lot of my athletes, I would go in the sense of let's pull for a world spot, and if we don't get it, let's just see if we get a wild card somewhere else.
Sounds
Yeah.
reasonable.
I think if you asked me any other year than this year, I would probably be more reasonable and secure like a high second or defend third or something like that. But with this specific year, with Rondell being absent and Bob being absent, this is like my quote unquote easiest path to Worlds or Sheffield or anything like that. So this year, I mean, I'm putting it all on the line right now. And then after that, the window closes. There's no reason to, try to pull 410 to beat Bob who's ahead of me or something like that. So I'm definitely pulling heavy if I have to this go around.
Jackie?
Uh, yeah, I mean, I feel like you know the answer to this. I'm pulling for the win. Like last year, I thought I was gonna get the chance to go to Worlds, and like it just means so much to me. As long as it's not like a completely boneheaded deadlift, like if there's like no way that it's gonna break the floor, then I'll probably just secure placing. But I think I'd be more upset that I didn't try versus loading something comfortable and like doing pretty well. Like the goal is the same. Like I want to go to Worlds.
Yeah.
Well,
um
seeing as you gatekeep all of your deadlifts, no one knows what that number actually is. So since you don't post anything, I think everyone knows where your squat and bench are, but no one knows where your deadlift is.
hee
I would say
it could
you.
be going amazing or it could be going terribly and just never
Never know.
know.
That's what happens when you gatekeep the pool.
I think for both of us who have like reasonable chances of being the best in the US and going to Worlds, of course we're going to want to be competitive and like put it all on the line. But I think the benefit you have is like you'll probably be a top 69 for at least the foreseeable couple years. It's like I mean it's you versus Gabby versus Celine. You guys are all up there. Me, it's like once Bob or Rondell comes back, my path significantly changes. So
That's if
Yeah.
Bob comes back, and Rondell would be a world lifter if he's with Trinidad and Tobago. He would not be a US lifter. And I don't think, including Bob, anyone knows what his full answer is right now because he is right now, from what it sounds like, only doing world games this year, is not doing nationals, is not doing worlds, is not doing Sheffield next year.
yeah, I don't know.
So with Bob, you never know, and with Rondell, you wouldn't have to worry about that. This, in theory, should be the only time
Not
you ever
until
see him at PA
Worlds.
Nationals.
I know every time I go to freaking Nationals, man, he just shows up as a guest for no reason.
Dev Astrick.
Yeah, this is a pattern, isn't it?
Yeah,
I was
dude.
gonna say,
Freaking
so after Dev won his first nationals, for everyone to know, at USAPL Run Nats, first response was hell yes, so proud of you. Next response was, there's technically an asterisk to this because you lost by 100 kilos to someone that didn't count. So,
it was 89.5, I believe, not 100. Hey,
but yes,
if I wasn't going head to head with two other guys, maybe I would have an inflated total too. All right, he was going just
yeah,
crazy.
the only reason you didn't total 1,000 kilos in that one nationals was
Exactly.
because of the
Head to
other
head
two.
battles. Yeah, you wouldn't get it.
But all right, so what order do we want to go into with starting with the 47 females?
I think we just generally talk about who are like top three picks or maybe a couple dark horses, and then at the end we'll kind of choose our one, two, three.
Yeah.
Any objection to that?
No, I kind of mentioned it before the podcast started, but this one's an interesting year just due to the amount of lifters who either have like sandbagged a meet to qualify due to the 75 kilo total, have a 75 kilo total for qualifying, or are doing the IDFPA I chose or whatever the acronym that they decided to use, the petty acronym. There's some
Is
lifters that
I
zero.
decided for
There
Powerlifting
we go.
America.
I couldn't remember the acronym, but
Not to
sorry.
be confused with the International Drug-Free Powerlifting Association.
Yeah, there just happened to be a weird coincidence on those. But yeah, there's also some lifters with a 0 kilo total that are competing in that the day before, competing with and lifting the bar to qualify. So with that, it's one of the weirder years where the qualifying totals may mean nothing depending on the lifter. And the 47, I think that's one of them. The two lifters, the 75 kilo total. Cindy Vaughn. And I'm gonna start this with, if I mispronounce anyone's name, I apologize. I'm bad at names. I'll do my best. But Cindy and Sophie Palmer are both very good lifters. I don't think they'll be in the 1 and 2 battle unless there's someone
Mhm.
losing, but they'll be very, very competitive in the podium battle, even with the quote unquote 75 kilo qualifying total. So we'll see a lot of lifters in the non-primetime session, in the morning session, be very competitive in podium battles. I think it will make it a very interesting situation.
Yeah, and that's not to say that you're like totally screwed if you're not in prime time. Like last year, Chloe Nutt was not in prime time and she ended up getting second overall. So like not only did the primetime people have to compete, it was Dana McNeil and Cranon were competing with each other, but they had to make sure that they at least totaled more than Chloe did.
Well,
Uh,
that was to say that, I mean, at junior nationals last year, that's what happened with Jaden Edwards in the 120 class. He was in the regular session and just had kind of a free flowing, let me just total as much as I want and not worry about what I can't control. And to kind of what Dev's joke is, sometimes you can total more in that situation. You actually put more pressure on the primetime lifters. Because they have an advantage of knowing the exact number to hit, but there's sometimes having a huge number in the morning session that kind of weigh down on you. And if you overreach to chase, and one miss all of a sudden can open the door and have someone from the morning session be right in the mix.
yeah,
Yeah,
so I feel like that could actually happen a few times during this nationals.
yeah. And Chloe came in second in the early session, and then went to SPD Raleigh and won $1,000. So I mean,
Yep.
there's stuff on the line. So
Yeah.
all right, so with the 47s, it's a pretty obvious two-headed race with Jessica Espinal and Heather Connor.
Yeah. It's actually I think it's gonna be pretty close this year. So the qualifying totals are, let's see, I wrote this down somewhere.
Yeah.
Jessica Espinal is qualified with 433.5, which I believe is still the world record.
I think that's right. Yeah,
I don't think
Yes.
that it was broken at Sheffield. And then Heather's coming in with a 410. But you know, I don't really think that reflects their current training at all.
where
No,
was
I mean,
that?
Heather was the kind of OG 47, but she's had a lot of health issues over the years, had to drop out of a couple meets. But she's looking about as strong as she ever has. I saw the 200 kilo double she did recently that was just almost mind-boggling. And again, the one thing Heather always does have is the deadlift. It just turns into, for her, is can she keep the subtotal close enough to be able to load a number that's relatively reasonable or in range.
Mhm.
And once that bar is loaded with Heather, you never know if she can lock it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the squats would be pretty dang similar. I saw Jessica hit a 152.5 squat in training. It looked pretty easy. And then Heather Connor doubled that, also looked pretty easy. So probably
She
a
squatted
small
she squatted 160 in training. It
Heather
might be
did.
buried in her feed, but yeah, I saw that.
Oh,
It was
oh.
crazy.
I don't know what Jessica's best is, but I'm assuming Heather has the small squat advantage here.
Well,
Uh,
in comp, Jess has squatted 150 and Heather squatted 147. But again, there's been a big uptick in Heather's squat
Mm,
training. So historically, Jess has a small squat advantage. Historically, their squats pretty even. Jess has a big bench advantage, and then Heather has the big deadlift advantage. But Heather's bench continues to improve, and I think Jess's
mhm.
deadlift continues to improve, which has been really cool to see.
yeah.
Yeah, does Jessica currently hold the bench world record, or is that Turbo Tiff?
No, I think it's Tiff Chapone.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, she has. I think she hit 100 in training like 5 times. She did have that incident where she dropped the bar on her face, and I don't know why I'm laughing. It's not something to laugh about, but she had a pretty good attitude about it.
Heartless.
But
You're
she got
heartless.
she got pretty banged up from it, but she had a good attitude. I don't think that's really going to affect her training or anything, but
Yeah, I'm glad to see she's
maybe
okay.
yeah,
But
maybe some
yeah, it's
confidence.
Jess Espanol. The one thing she's had trouble with at times is bench depth. I think domestically, Powerlifting America has been a little more lenient on bench depth than some of the
Mhm.
international stages. But I know Jess had a major issue at Worlds last year with bench depth that pretty much affected her from going to Sheffield this year. So that's just one thing to keep an eye on with Jess is, does bench depth become an issue for her?
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm personally, uh, I don't think that'll be an issue. You never know, like, and I've stressed about it. Like, I'm like, "Is this good enough? Is this not good enough?" Because, the judging is kinda all over the place for bench depth. Hopefully I don't get in trouble for saying that, but, like,
I know Dev's always concerned about bench depth for himself.
It's close usually, yeah. Thankfully, I'm a man though, so I usually get the leeway.
yeah, they just don't look when it's a man, they're like, "It's okay."
You say that Gavin had a placing issue on second Sheffield over bench depth, a closer grip, kind of what you'd expect the former president of the IPF to think is the standard of bench press.
Oh
Yeah.
The
gosh.
depth call. So, but all right. So before we get canceled for this conversation,
Wait, can I say someone else's depth who's kinda sus?
Oh, of
is it
course.
a 47?
No,
Then let's wait
uh,
to the weight class.
they're not
Uh,
competing.
Oh, they're not
uh,
competing. Oh,
No, but, like, Bob, he has, like, such a close grip bench, but, like, it looks so high because his elbows are, like, tucked in a little bit, like, and it's just an illusion, like, they could be super deep, but, like,
look, Bob's not need any more motivation about anything, bro. Let's leave Bob out of this.
I'm just saying. I'm just
Bob,
saying.
come to PA Nats and bury
Oh
Dev to prove to
gosh.
Jackie that she can hit
All
depth.
right, I can still beat him at bench at least. We can't
Well,
argue
it's
that.
never been a problem in competition, so it's fine, but, like
All right. So who wants to give their top three on the 47 first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I think Heather and Jessica are gonna squat dang near the same thing. And then I think Jessica probably hits about 25 more on bench than Heather. And I think Heather can pull more than the deficit that'll be created from bench. So I'm giving Heather the edge. I think it's going to be like literally like a half kilo chip whoever wins, somewhere in that like 430-ish range. So just the way Heather's training's going, I'm giving her first. Jessica's taking the L in second, and then I think Sophie Palmer probably rounds out third, but it's pretty much a two-headed race there.
I'll
Yeah.
I'll I'll follow it up. I have the same situation, just inverted. So I have Jess Espinal creating a big enough lead into subtotal to force Heather to load an absurd third deadlift. I think Jess's improvement on deadlift plays out well enough for her. I think Heather just can't finish that third pull. I think it's going to look further away than the competition actually is due to a missed third pull. I have Jess breaking the world record total right around 435 range. And I have Heather missing the third pull and ending right around that 417 to 420, depending on where her second deadlift ends up being. And then I also have Sophie Palmer rounding out third place in the morning session. Alexis Swayze is in the primetime session with Jess and Heather. I just, based on Sophie's training, I think Sophie's going to be a spot that Alexis won't be able to catch her in prime time to get the podium spot. And I have Sophie rounding out third.
Before you go, Jackie, I want to ask Joey, what do you think an absurd third pull is for Heather?
I think based on training, the most Heather can pull is 207. And I'm probably going to bite my words on that one. But I think over 207, she misses. I think that Jess is going to have her loading 210 to 212. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be
Mm.
like above knees, but not locked out. But I think if I'm on Jess's side, I'd say that the goal is to make Heather load above 207 is where I'd feel a bit more comfortable.
I think that's
Because
fair.
Heather's one of those people where she can rep weight very high to her one rep max versus like some lifters, like I'll just throw myself and Devin on the bus where we can't double 92% of our deadlift max. Heather can rep out pretty close to her max. So while the 200 kilo double is insane, plus to be honest, with Heather's health issues and the fact that she hasn't really executed a meet in a couple years, Jess has been executing pretty consistently at the world record level, winning junior world. So I'm going with that with the advantage, and we'll see.
Um, yeah, so I have them I actually have Heather squatting more than Jessica. Um, her squat just looks so good. Like it look it looks the best it's ever had, in my opinion. And I got Jessica benching like 22-ish kilos or so more than Heather, but I think Heather's gonna um potentially be able to pull for the win. Like she'll definitely be the last deadlifter. I'll think she'll load exactly what she needs. So whether it's tie the body weight total, or if she weighs in less, or go 2.5 kilos more. I'm pretty sure Heather pulled 210 in training. Um,
A while
would
ago,
she
yeah.
be able to do it on the platform? Uh, I don't know. It depends how she peaks, but I think that if she doesn't miss lifts on the subtotal, like it's important she doesn't do that. But if she hangs in there, I have her edging out Jessica Espinal, um, just by like either on body weight or 2.5 kilos. So yeah,
And who do you
You
have at
guys.
third?
we'll go with Sophie Palmer.
All right. Also, if you hear me typing, I'm keeping track of everyone's pick so we can see who is the best predictor of this after the meets.
Good call. I'm looking up right now with the some pulling the records up. Does anyone know what the current deadlift record is? Like, can Heather chip something in that area?
I'm assuming so because it's just a
Yeah.
national record. I'll have it pulled up here in a second.
I got it loading right here. But yeah, I mean, if Heather has that advantage of like a half chip to go like 208 or something exact, what's going on here?
Let's see, the currently right now the national
Oh,
records.
it's only 200.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
she could definitely chip whatever she needs.
Yeah, the squat record's 150, the bench record's 97, and the deadlift record is 200. So
Oh, so they might be chipping everything.
yeah, there'll
Chip
be
squat,
chips
chip
all over the
bench.
place. There'll
Yeah.
be squat chips, bench chips, deadlift chips. Obviously, Heather with an advantage with the deadlift chip being the last
Yeah.
lift.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, I got my money on Heather. Jackie, did you say Heather or Jessica?
I said Heather. Yeah.
Yep.
I
So I
think the
got
strategy with Heather is to like play it smart on the subtotal.
Yeah.
Like don't try to
Yeah. I mean,
aggressively push something.
it's gonna be that big third pull to see if
Yeah.
Heather pulls it off or if Jess survives.
yep. So you both have Heather, Jeff's Sophie, and then I have Jess, Heather, Sophie.
All right, Sophie, don't let us down.
Yeah, we all have Sophie going third from the morning session. Moving on to 59 men's, a little bit of a I don't want to say underwhelming total. It's kind of disrespectful, but like
Uh,
a situation where the person going to Worlds will not be in competing in this. I don't see
Hmm.
anyone catching Waskar's like 636 or whatever it is, 638 that he put up in
Yeah.
Sheffield. So we probably will not see a Worlds competitor from this meet, but I do think there's some interesting competition, actually mainly in the morning session. I actually don't see any of the primetime lifters being necessarily um competitive into this, but I actually do think the 275 kilo lifters, Travis Pinheiro and Brannigan Coleman, are two very good lifters who will be in a battle in the morning session. And then I think the battle in the primetime session between Alex Drew and Steven will be for third place, if I'm being honest.
yeah, and you said you don't want to be disrespectful, but I'll be disrespectful. When I was looking through this stuff, if you're like over 10% away from the winner, like I really didn't look into you because you're not relevant. And if you want to compare me to Rondell and say I'm not relevant, I won't argue with you because he's 100 kilos ahead of me. If you're that far behind, you got work to do before you want to be on a podcast. But I'll echo. I think Wascar is pretty safe for this total from Sheffield. I did look into Travis Pinheiro. I don't know how you say his last name. I think he's coming from a different federation and he was slightly heavier, maybe. Maybe he's
He
cutting
was a
down a little
USAP,
bit.
he was a 60 in the USAPL, so it's only a
Okay, so it's a
kilo.
small cut.
And I checked on his Instagram. He did a cut from 63 keys. It looks like he's walking around right at 59 right now. But yeah, I
Mm,
mean, he did USAPL raw nats the same when you did Dev in Memphis at 59.6. So it's not like it's a huge cut. But yeah, I mean, he totaled at 60.5 at his qualifying meet
580.
580. Actually,
Yeah.
why is it not? He should be in prime time based. I don't think someone missed that because yeah. Oh no, he was above the weight class. I forgot. Because
Yeah,
yeah, just for everyone that
68.5.
doesn't know, if you competed at Powerlifting American meet but didn't make weight, they move your qualifying total down to 75 keys. But it only
Hmm.
being 1.5 kilos, I don't see it being an issue, especially since it looks like he's down around that body weight now. But yeah, the 580 of that qualifying meet, I don't see Brannigan has like I think Brannigan was at like 540, 550. Brannigan's not a bad lifter by any means, but I don't know that he's going to catch what Travis does. Brannigan's at 552 as his best meet. He just did bench nationals as well as a guest lifter. So Brannigan's actually, I don't know if Brannigan's going to be able to make weight. His last meet,
Yeah, he's quite a bit over.
yeah, Brannigan is doing a death cut, it looks like, because yeah, his last meet was at 65 kilos in January.
Well,
Um,
no, that was January of last
for
year.
January of last year. So yeah, so yeah, he is a much bigger cut than Travis.
Yeah, assuming he didn't, lose weight slowly.
But you guys
Yeah.
you guys want to go with your top three on 59s?
Yeah, I'll go. I think Travis has like a shot at like a 600 total on like a crazy good day, which would be pretty cool to see. I mean, that's a pretty dang good total for a 59. So I think he's going to be the national champ, obviously with Waskar being absent. And I think Brannigan comes in second, and Alex Delamere, don't say his last name. I think he comes in third. But again, you can call me disrespectful, Dev. You guys are miles behind Waskar, so you got some work to do.
I will say on the 59s, just because it's been, well, one, obviously, Sergey Fedoshenko is doing world. It looks like he's able to do worlds this year, so we'll finally get the Waskar versus Sergey battle. And then there is that other 59. I can't remember his name off the top of the head. The one that squats with his mouth open. I think he's from
Oh, he's like from Thailand or something.
Thailand or something. He looks like he's,
That guy?
yeah,
He's
up and
doing
coming.
worlds? The
59.
screaming guy?
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, based on his training total, I don't know that he'll be in the Waskar Sergey conversation, but he looks like he may be an up and coming 59, which it's cool just to see that weight class starting to have a couple more competitors and not be a one horse show like it's been for a decade originally with Sergey, now with Waskar. It's because I didn't see actually a battle coming soon for the 59s.
Y'all, I hope that guy screams on the platform. Like
At Worlds.
I will watch the 59s just for that.
He pulled like 700 on a deadlift bar with like straps. I mean, he could be super freaking strong, but he's an interesting guy when he squats.
Jackie, what do you got for the 59s?
Not to be boring, but I'll probably just reflect like Travis and then Brannigan and then uh I scrolled away from this guy's name.
I mean, Alex and Drew are both like
Yeah.
497,
Keys away from each
495.
other.
Yeah.
Like I didn't really scout them too hard.
Say it
But
with your chest.
am I an op? Maybe. But yeah, I mean Waskar is going to Worlds again. Um, I don't think that Travis has made enough progress to like beat his total. That'd be crazy if true, but
Hey,
uh,
go with your gut. Who you got in third between Alex, Drew, and Steven?
um, let's say Drew. I like that name.
Going through. All right, so again, a little bit of an underwhelming class due to Wasker going to Worlds, but I have Travis again. I think he can break the 600 kilo mark, which I mean a couple years ago would have gone to Worlds in the US for 59. I have Brannigan in second if he can make weight, and then I have Drew Coffey in third. Shout out to Ironside. It's a gym out of Portland that Drew trains out of. They have a decent showing here at PA Nationals, so I'm going to go Drew third to wrap up 59s. We jumping back to 52 kilo woman now.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, so this is kind of, in my opinion, I think this is going to be an interesting class to watch. Um, like not to get into too much like personal detail, but the Megan Hurlburt will be defending her world spot, and she's had, some health issues with one of her children, and I think that it would be naive to say that it didn't have any impact on her training. Like, from what I understand, like it was a pretty long illness. But I think that her daughter's on the come up, so I'm like really happy to hear that. But like the unfortunate truth is that life does get in the way sometimes. So I hope she comes back as strong as she has been, but I also think it would be, naive to think that may or may not happen. um, to put that simply. But I think that there's some other interesting things that we could look at in this class. For example, Serene, she has actually been in the sport for a long time, and she took a hiatus because of her doctoral program. But from what I understand, she's back for the most part, and she came back and she did SBD Raleigh, and she put up a pretty good total for making her way back into the powerlifting scene. She put up a 430 total, which was only
427
23.
at Raleigh. 430 was
Yeah.
her PR at Carolina Prime Time in
Oh yeah.
2022.
Okay, so my bad. 427
But,
at Raleigh.
but that was
And
with two missed lifts at Raleigh. She went 7 for 9. So
yeah. So but I think, with some like, just getting used to like getting back in the groove of training, like she could potentially easily total over that. Obviously, she doesn't post very much, so it's kind of hard to tell. And then there's two other people who I think are worth keeping their eyes on. So there's Vanessa, um, where let's see, her qualifying total is 412 and a half. But again, like if Megan doesn't come in at her full strength, I think that title could easily be taken up by another person in the flight. So I think, Vanessa could have a shot if people don't execute at their full potential on the day. And then somebody not in prime time, we should probably keep our eyes on Ariel Patra because she won USAPL Nationals this year, or I guess last year, the most recent one, and then decided to switch to Powerlifting America to try for a world spot, but she's not in the primetime flight, so she'll have to play the game of trying to get the biggest total that she can and hoping that the primetime flight doesn't exceed it.
do you know what she won nationals with? What total?
400.
Okay.
Yeah, it was 400 kilos on the dot, which is her PR. So yeah, I agree. I think those are the four lifters to look at. The one thing I guess out of curiosity with Megan, obviously with all the personal stuff, is if she was able to keep around the 52 kilo body weight. I know going into last PA National, she had a pretty aggressive cut to get down to the weight. If she's been able to be consistent at the weight, I think that bodes well at her, even with all the turbulence of the personal stuff. And then Serene, I guess the one thing to point out, she hasn't done a national since 2019 and the USAPL NAS before the split. She's done Carolina Prime Time. She's done SBD Raleigh in the open session. So she's done some competitive meets. But as I know, you all know, nationals at times can be a different mental side of things. So that's one thing to keep an eye on her, where you have Vanessa, who's been a Powerlifting America kind of stalwart since the beginning of the federation, and Ariel, who's a very, very long-standing lifter and very experienced lifter. I think Ariel probably has the lowest total coming into the four, but she probably has some of the most experience. So I think it will be an interesting battle to see who can one win and go to worlds and who two will fill out the podium.
Mm.
Yeah. I can start with the picks.
Okay.
So I saw Megan and Serene both repping like 400 kilos in their most recent training with some like doubles and triples. So I think they're pretty similar strength wise right now. But they're both pretty sub-maximal in their training, which Megan's coached by Marcellus, I believe, and he usually keeps his lifters pretty sub-maximal for a while. So Meg could be
Yeah.
in pretty good shape. Obviously, wish her the best with her family. Hope everything's going well. But I think she's still looking pretty good. So I'm gonna pick her as my favorite to win, maybe in that 440-ish range. I think she went like 450 last year. Probably doesn't need to do that and probably won't do that. But Serene looking pretty good, 427 at Raleigh with two missed lifts. So add those two lifts back. If she goes 9 for 9, she could upset Megan. But I think I'm just gonna give the nod to Marcellus and his game plan that he'll make sure Meg's in the position where she can't be caught. And then in third, I think Vanessa Pineda rounds out third.
I'll go next. So I have Megan winning. I think just an extra year in that weight class. Again, obviously happy that everything seems to be going well with her family. I have Megan winning. I have Serene in second with really her national breakout 5 years later, or 6 years later, I guess it'd be. And then I do have the battle for third being very close. I have Ariel Potra for the morning session getting third. I will say on that note, I'm curious if bench depth is going to be an issue with her. Some of her training's close. It depends on how strict they're calling it. I think it'll be a very close. I think if she gets a bench depth call or two, I think you potentially could have Vanessa coming in. I will say I'm also curious with where Meredith Brosh is. I think that's just another person in the
Mhm.
morning session who potentially could get potentially close to podiuming, but I have Megan, Serene, and then Ariel to round out my podium.
I'll be the op. Um, I'm uh I'm gonna have Serene in first. Uh, I, I think like historically in the past, Megan like making weight has been close. So, I think that like adds a little stressor to the meet day. And then um I don't think she's back to where she was last year. I still think she's gonna put up a good total, but I don't think that she's gonna get to the 450s. Um, but I think if Serene had, like uh a great breakout nationals, I think that she might be able to um pull a little bit more than Megan and secure first place. But I think it's gonna be exceptionally close, so I'm not trying to be an op. That's just what I think. And then I think I'm gonna have Vanessa in third place just because um in this case I think it will be a disadvantage to not be in prime time just with how close all these lifters are. I think it's gonna just be tough to maximize your total because I think Ariel's definitely gonna have to PR her total in order to try to get that third place. But I think that Vanessa would be capable of just um, even edging her out by like 2.5 kilos.
Awesome. Sounds good. So moving on, and I guess just so we don't have to keep making the caveats, these are just all opinions. We want all of these lifters to do well. I don't think we have to every time we pick against someone. There's nothing personal on all of these. So I will say I don't think we have to apologize for our opinions. But maybe I'm sure someone will get mad. So maybe
Just
I'm wrong.
Yeah,
prove us wrong, and
yeah.
put our audio in your next reel.
And
Yeah.
you know what? If you're a lifter listening to this and it psychs you out, like that's your fault. Like that's bad news. You know you should never listen to the preview shows before you compete.
You say
Like,
that as if we're not having two people competing for a chance to go to Worlds doing this right now. So,
hell yeah. And when we go in my weight class, I'm leaving.
uh, all right, moving on to the 66 men's, a very interesting weight class that honestly could have been more interesting. Missing a handful of big names from this, including Dan Clements and Brian Lee. But even with missing both of those, all it does is turn it from like a five-headed monster to still a three, four-headed monster. Still a very competitive class. Jonathan Garcia was an alternate for Sheffield this year. Looked very strong in his prep leading up to it. And both Morgan Aquino Garcia and Austin Nikolai are very, very seasoned lifters. And I think even Avery Jackson's close enough that you can't keep your eye off of him. But yeah, what do you guys have to add with the 66s?
I have
um,
Jonathan Garcia written down as Ryan Garcia, so I'm gonna fix that. Isn't that like a boxer or something? Why did I
He's
do
he's
that?
on Team Flex, Dev. Come on,
All
man.
right, come on. No, I think you said it pretty well.
yeah.
Um, Big fan of Austin Nikolai. I think he's gonna shake some things up.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
his training hasn't been like extravagant, but in the past he's been a very, very strong lifter. I think his most recent meet was Junior Worlds, where he totaled like 690, and he went for like a huge deadlift to I think take the open world record. So if his training is going well, I think he'll be a lot closer to Garcia than most of us think.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of well, there's two Garcias. Which one?
Jonathan Garcia, not Morgan Aquino. I call him Morgan Aquino.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's what his Instagram bio says. Yeah, I would just say like definitely keep your eyes. I mean, of course there's Jonathan and there's Morgan, but then I think Austin is I think he's starting to like get some great momentum in his powerlifting career. Like he's a great lifter. He went to Worlds. He loaded a heavy deadlift, so I think that, his total might be heavier than what it is on paper. Um I think younger people tend to, you know, I don't know,
Just
maybe
say
I'm
it with your
biased, but
chest,
I think
Jackie.
that
Say it with your chest.
younger people like uh he has this like pep in his step. I just have a good feeling about it. So I think that he has the potential to come in pretty strong. And then I was like briefly looking at Avery Jackson.
Hmm.
Um he's got like a pretty nice squat on him.
He's got a
And
huge squat on him.
yeah, and it'll just be interesting because I think he competed in like a lot of 24-hour weigh-in feds. So
Yeah.
I don't know if he has his groove together yet with 2-hour weigh-ins. Like I know that can mess up some people. So um
I do think it's comforting for Avery that his qualifying meet, he made weight and proved that he
yeah.
can do it. Now, yes, he had a downtick from the 24-hour weigh-in meet, but a lot of times when you have people going from a 24-hour weigh-in feds over to 2-hour weigh-ins, they miss weight in their qualifying meet, and it turns to a question of can they make weight. I think it's
Yeah.
good to see that Avery made weight, and realistically, the lift that you'd expect to be effective the most deadlift, he actually outpulled on the stiff bar what he pulled on the deadlift bar at the American Pro. So I do think that's an interesting thing. His squat took a little bit of a hit just with the weight, but if he's been training around that weight for the last couple of months, he may get closer to what he did at the American Pro, which is 700 kilos, which is right in the qualifying range of Jonathan Morgan and Austin. I don't know that 700 kilos will actually be enough on the day, but I would not be surprised to see Avery right around that 700 kilo mark come Power for the American Nationals.
Yeah, so yeah, I definitely don't I'm not sure if he'll be able to win. I think that'd be a stretch, but I think he could find his way on the podium. I don't think he's out of the conversation.
Yeah, I completely agree. So I can start with the 66s. I don't think I've started yet. So on the 66s, I have Jonathan Garcia winning. I do one thing to note with him is he at times has deadlift grip issues. So he's a huge subtotal guy, world record squat, huge bench. With him, it really turns into if he can honestly, I think if he can secure two deadlifts, I think he can be ahead of enough to win the meet. But he's got to do that because he's gone 1 for 3 from grip in the past. But I have Jonathan Garcia in first. I have Austin Nikolai in second. This is actually one of those situations to Des' point earlier where I think Jonathan Garcia will be ahead enough where Austin's going to be pulling to secure second instead of loading something insane to try to win. And then I have Morgan Aquino Garcia in third.
Um, I guess for me, pretty basic, but I'm just going I think it'll be the order of the qualifying totals in my opinion. I think Jonathan Garcia gets the win, and then Morgan gets second place, and then Austin Nikolai will get third. But I could definitely see Morgan and Austin switching places, but I'm gonna stand my ground.
Cool.
Did Morgan post any training? I feel like I didn't see any. He has
I can't
like
find
an
his Instagram
informational
anymore.
page. I think he has like a coaching page, but I didn't see any training,
I
which I
mean,
could have sworn
it's becoming more and more common for people to gatekeep their training. So
we gatekeeping training for it.
That's an
Could be me.
interesting conversation.
Yeah. I think it's hard to say Jonathan's not the favorite here. I mean, his squat is looking nuts. He has a really big bench too. I didn't realize how good his bench was. And then yeah, his pull is his least valuable lift. With the grip issues, that could be a big factor. But I think even if he misses his third pull, he'll still be in a pretty strong spot. I think if anyone's going to try to pull to beat him, it's going to be Austin because I believe I saw him pull 310 in his training up to junior nat or junior worlds. So it's been a while since he pulled that, but he's got a pretty dang big pull on him. So I could see Austin being in a position for his third pull to try to pull for the win. It might be too heavy and he might not be able to get it. So I'm gonna give Jonathan first place. I'm gonna put Austin in second with a missed third pull. Austin, please prove me wrong. And then I'll give Avery third, just a wild card. I haven't seen any of Garcia Morgan Aquino's training. I think he did like 700 at Raleigh, so he's pretty strong right now. So those could obviously flip flop, but I think I think Jonathan and Austin are ahead of the pack, and I think it's going to be, can Austin pull a big third deadlift to get the win? And
Well,
hoping
and
for him.
the other nice thing about this weight class is one of the few weight classes where everyone in competition is all in prime time.
That
So
is
there
nice.
will be no one in the morning session that's competitive in this weight class. So you'll really be able to see a head-to-head battle, which is always fun to see everyone in the same flight.
Yeah, good point.
57 women. This one is going to be very, very fun.
I agree with that. So I think we got like a couple names to look at. We have Natalie Richards, Michelle Lynn, Mariah Bolden, then I also wrote down Brandy and Jaslyn, potentially.
And then
But
we also have Vanessa Robinson and Bria Williams that are both doing the IDFPA. That are going to be in the morning session, who are both very, very good lifters, who I think could potentially, as Jackie's realizing she potentially missed someone, they're going
my
to,
bad, guys.
I think could potentially make this very interesting and put up totals in the morning session that are very competitive. I'm going to let Dev go first so Jackie can think if she's changing her mind right now, as I can see the wheels turning.
Yeah, let me discuss my research here. So you guys, this would be a very interesting class. I thought Natalie was a pretty big favorite, so I mean maybe it's interesting between second and third. I know Natalie has like a hip injury, but I mean she's ahead in the 57 class. So I'd be very surprised to see even a 80% healthy Natalie come in and be challenged. She's totaled 516 at Sheffield. She's probably not at her Sheffield peak, but her week one was some of these qualifying girls' totals. So if she can just make progress on that, I see her being the big favorite. But in terms of like the battle between second and third, Bria Williams coming over from USAPL, she could put up like a 460-ish total. That's pretty dang big total. I believe Vanessa Robinson, she is coming from USAPL, the 60 kilo class, so a small cut for her. I want to say I saw her pull like 500 pounds. I think she's like a pretty tall gal. If she has that 500-pound pull in her, maybe I'm mixing her up with someone, but that is that's a big big pull for this class.
I
So
mean, it could be. Her best in comp is 210. So in training, that doesn't necessarily, it's not terribly far off to have
oh,
that.
I'm off then. No, I'm not thinking of the right person.
Oh no, I know who you're talking about. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah, I know you're talking about, that's in the next female weight class, but
Yep, that's
Yeah.
what it is.
no, Vanessa is still very strong puller. She's pulled 210 in the comp, pulled 207. So she is definitely has a big pull. But yeah, I agree with you, Dev. I don't think I don't think it's interesting in the sense of first. I do think Natalie, as long as she's even 80% wins, but I
Mhm.
do think there's 2 to 4 lifters who could be fighting for that second and third place. I think that's
Ooh,
where it gets
yeah.
extremely interesting is for second and third.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'll do an early prediction and you guys can chat about your research, but I'm putting Natalie in first. I think that's a pretty safe pick. I believe Mariah Bolden won the Tennessee Raw Nats when I was there.
Yeah,
She
Mariah is a
did.
very good experienced lifter.
Yeah,
She pulled from like fourth or fifth to first. It
yeah.
was crazy.
My only memory is her just being a dog at Raw Nats. So I'm gonna give her second just based off that. But looking at Bria Williams' training, I think she is primed for something pretty big. So I'll go Natalie, Mariah, Bria.
Awesome. I'll go second. So I have same lifters. I have Vanessa and Michelle as my honorable mentions. That could make me look like a fool, but I have Natalie in first, Bria in second in the morning session, and Mariah in third. I think it's gonna be one of those things where Bria puts up a total that everyone in the primetime session is chasing to try to get. I think Natalie can do it. And then I think Mariah comes just short and gets third. So I have Natalie, Bria, then Mariah.
Yeah, well, I totally didn't do just some last minute scouting. Um, but I think that if Natalie takes a conservative squat, like if she, because she has like a hip flexor injury, so
Yeah.
maybe just take a lot of ibuprofen and get through squats. Take what's reasonably there. I think she's gonna bench something ridiculous. So I could see her benching like 120 or more. honestly. And then yeah, she'll just deadlift something to like be out of reach of her competition. Uh, I think it'll still be a relatively easy win for her, even though she's not at her 100%. So Natalie's gonna be in first. Um, Second and third place is a little hard to say. I'm not as familiar with Vanessa. Um, but Bria, I follow Bria and her training's been looking pretty good. So I think it's gonna be probably a toss-up between Mariah and Bria, but I'm gonna give Mariah the primetime advantage. I think that she'll just pull what she needs um to get past Bria's regular session total.
So you have Natalie, Mariah, then Bria, Jackie.
Yes.
Cool. Awesome. Moving on to on our trend of disrespectful, probably another disappointing class in this one, the 74 men. Obviously, Austin put up a huge total at Sheffield, and I don't see anyone getting close to Austin's total. There are a handful of lifters that are going to be in the podium battle from the morning session that have either a 0 or 75 kilo total right now. I don't see any of them getting close to Austin, but I do think that we can get a close battle for second and third, albeit a much lower total than what will make it to Sheffield. I'll go first. Do you guys have any fun facts on this one, or you want to go straight into picks on this one?
I'll just retract my statement here about calling you a bum if you're like 10% behind. Perk is a freak, so I'm not going to call these guys bums. I know Perk's way ahead, but yeah, maybe I was a little harsh. I'm not going to say none of these guys are relevant.
Look, I just can't wait till we get to 120s. I can talk about how everyone in the 950 range is a bum because it's not close to Rondel.
I mean, I'm a bum. What the
Because
heck
of
is that?
Agata,
Who knows?
I'll say
All right.
anyone, any female anywhere from 63 to 76 is a bum because
Yeah.
Agata
All right.
still exists.
Let me
Each
refresh my
each
statement here.
each day she trains, I become more and more washed.
I'm gonna say if there is an outlier in your class, I'll give you some grace. But if there's someone who's not considered like a freak or an outlier and you're still like 10% back, you got work to do.
All right, Dev, what's your 74 picks?
All right, 74. I got some research here. Perk's gonna win. Well, he's not gonna win, but he's not gonna get caught.
Perk's gonna win.
Yeah, Perk's coming in and getting the dub. I got Zachary DiConstanzo.
He's been a stalwart at USAPL Nats for a couple of years. Very, very good
Yep.
lifter.
He competed at, I think, did Pete Spence run the Scary Strong or was that Meg?
Pete ran
That
it.
was
Pete ran it?
Pete, yeah.
Okay. He
Meg
did.
was there though.
Oh,
Shout
that's
out
what I
Meg.
thought. He totaled 760 there. Um, he looks pretty strong. I think he's probably the front runner for this class. I have Oscar Hernandez coming in second. I think he bombed out of his last meet, but he looked pretty
Yeah.
strong. I didn't write down like his numbers, so I'm just saying he's second based off of research. And then I got, how do you pronounce this guy's name? Is it Jose? Josu? Paredes?
Josue, I'm going Josue, but I could be wrong.
Josue? Josuave. So I got Zach, Oscar, Paredes.
So you got two people from the morning
Yeah.
session wrapping out second and third. I have Zach in first, Oscar in second, and then I have Aliki in third. Aliki's up in
Oh,
Chicago and is a very
Aliki.
good experienced lifter. I think the battle for second and third is gonna be very close, but I have Aliki getting third from the regular sessions.
I'm gonna go with I have Zachary. I don't think anyone's gonna touch him. Um, obviously, yeah. And then actually I have Josue.
Just call him Jay. Call him Big J.
I got our guy JP in second place. He's got, an all-time best total of 722.5, and I just like to think that people just keep getting better. And then Oscar, uh, he's either gonna get third or he's gonna bomb out.
That's the
The reason why
craziest
I say
statement.
that is because he missed 3 squads, and it makes me believe that he missed on depth or
I
something like
believe you.
I
that.
would also believe it's depth, which is weird because he's done national meets and been fine before. So
Yeah.
that's the
I'll
reason.
interject here. I'm pretty sure it is depth. I'm pretty sure he's coached by Marcellus, and I saw the video. It looked like a pretty good squad. I'm not sure why it was called. I think he'll
Yeah,
be all right.
based on the fact that he's done multiple national meets and hasn't bombed, I'm just gonna throw out
Yeah.
some interesting situation at the local meet and give him that he'll be okay, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe he had like food poisoning or
I
something.
believe in you,
I don't
Oscar.
know. But I'm gonna say it's gonna be all or nothing. He's gonna get
Just,
third or
just
he's gonna
know,
bomb.
Oscar, that Dev and Joey believe in you and
I
Jackie.
believe in you, Oscar. Jackie's a hater.
No, all right, we can move on to the 63 women. And honestly, I am happy to see Meg Scanlon doing this meet. I'm surprised she's doing the meet, especially with how well she performed at Sheffield. So surprised to see her actually coming through with this meet. But I do know that her kind of stance on it is why not continue to collect national titles? And I do think there's a couple very, very, very good up and coming lifters and Angelina Martinez, who's still a junior, and Abigail Brosh, who I think's only done 3 powerlifting meets so far, and both I
Hmm.
think are going to be chasing down the 500 kilo mark. I don't know that they'll be in the Meg Scanlon realm, but I think both of them will exceed over 500 kilos. And I think to get third in this weight class, you'll have to clear 500.
I would generally agree with that sentiment. It was kind of an interesting storyline before Meg signed up. Like we had Angelina with this qualifying total that I don't think remotely reflects her training progress at all.
Yeah,
But if you
she's the
just
one
looked
with the
at,
huge deadlift. She's pulled over 230 in training, and it was disgustingly fast.
Really?
yeah,
I think I mixed up Sydney Hunter is the person I was thinking. She's like a real big gal on
nope,
Instagram.
nope,
She's like,
she's got a crazy deadlift too.
yeah. She has like 80K on Instagram. And I was like, is this just it's just like Crandon part two? She's just super jacked, pulling 500 pounds pretty easily. So
I was gonna
that's
say
what I mixed
another
up.
honorable mention in this class who's a 75 kilo person is Hannah Peterson, also has a
Hmm.
much bigger total than what
Hmm.
she looks like on this. So yeah, I think between Sydney, Abigail, Angelina, and Hannah will have a huge battle for second and third. I don't see any of them in the Meg Scanlon realm. I will say Angelina Martinez is a lifter that give it 12 to 24 months. I think it will make it much more interesting for Meg Scanlon in the 63s.
Yeah. Yeah, I would just say like, you know, yeah, the big five to look for: Meg, Angelina, Abigail, Sydney, and Hannah Peterson. I'll say that Hannah has not been lifting that, or not Hannah, Abigail has not been lifting very long. She pretty sure she got 500 dots at her first meet.
Yeah, she's a freak. She's coached by Steve Zanovi.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then we have like all these monster deadlifters in this class. Like
Yeah.
we got Angelina, insane deadlift.
She
I
pulled
think she
230, you
paused
said?
230. Yeah, she
230 and it
paused it.
I had
looks like it was
220 written
pretty.
down. Goodness gracious.
Oh, Angelina has an insane pull. I think she won Junior Worlds last year,
I think that's right, yeah.
Mm,
or did
No?
she?
I don't think she
Four,
won, but she podied.
She
total
podiumed.
Podied.
Okay, yeah, she was
495.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was, I think, much different than her national meet. I don't, because she lost to the other 63. Her name is evading me. Crazy Squat. Natalie Hunter.
Natalie Hunter. Yeah.
Natalie Hunter.
Yeah. Hopefully I didn't mess that up.
Yeah, no, Natalie Hunter's over 500 kilo, and once she becomes an
Yeah.
open lifter again, I think the 63 class has been slightly dominated by Meg Scanlon for the last couple of years. It's kind of been a less deep weight class. I think over the next 12 to 36 months, this is going to be one of the most competitive U.S. weight classes, which is good because this is a weight class that the U.S. has been a little under recognized until Meg has really kind of came out because of just how competitive it is in the world. This is a very, very competitive international weight class. So it's
Mhm.
exciting to see the US kind of catch up to some of the international countries that have dominated this weight class.
Yeah, and gosh, some of the international people too. I'm like, what is happening? Like
Yeah.
the Italians, like
It used to be
Yeah.
if you could make it out of
if you watch
America, you
like
were good.
Sierra Bernardi, I'm like, what is
Yeah.
going on?
Yeah. Who wants to, Jackie, you want to lead us off on the 63s?
Yeah, so I got my good friend Meg Scanlon coming off in first. I think that she'll squat somewhere in the 200s for sure. And she's gonna bench. We got the sky pad for this meet, and I won't lie, I think it definitely adds like some kilos to the bench. Her bench training is looking great again, so she'll be in the 140s. I'll say, I don't know, we'll say 145 just to be in the middle, but she could potentially do more than that. And deadlift, I'm gonna say that 220 is going for her this meet. I know she just narrowly missed it, but there's no reason to load something up super wild on her third pull, so she might just take something nice and know she's gonna get it to finish off the day. Um, Second, I got Angelina. I think even on Angelina's best day, it's gonna be pretty tough to get close to Meg. Um, but I could see her squatting even up to like somewhere 180s, even 190. I got her squatting or benching over 110, so I just said 115 because I like even, five numbers. And I think she could pull probably like 240-ish, maybe
That's
maybe
insane.
more. I don't it's crazy. Uh yeah, and then third place is a little bit hard to say. I think I'm gonna go with Abigail because um every meet where she's deadlifted, it hasn't been anywhere close to like her max effort. Like I think that she has a lot in the tank that she hasn't showed us. So I think that she could load up a fairly aggressive third deadlift and become unreachable in that third place position.
Some Dev, you want to go next to the 63s?
Sure. So I got Meg, Angela, Hannah, Abigail, and Sydney all as like relevant. Sorry if that sounds disrespectful. I think Meg's getting the win here. She is just ahead of the pack. I think second and third will be a very interesting battle. I think Angelina is probably my pick for second, just based off her world's performance and her experience and that massive deadlift. And I'm gonna have Sydney Hunter sneak into third here because she can pull 1 billion pounds. I think she pulls more than Hannah Peterson and Abigail Brosh. So I'm gonna say Sydney plays her cards right. She's within range for a big third pull, and maybe Abigail and Hannah miss, and Sydney pulls somewhere in the 230-ish range to snag third place.
See, I have a similar situation. I'm going to go with Jackie, with Meg, Angelina, then Abigail. I think Abigail can put the pull out of Sydney's hands. I think she'll load it. I think she'll make her load something in that close to 240 range. I think it'll just be too much. So I don't see Sydney getting there, but I do think it'll be very, very close. And another weight class where everyone who is relevant is in prime time, which just again viewability makes it so much more fun to be able to see everyone battle and everyone be able to kind of have to go head to head with each other.
Yeah. And I will say that there's definitely going to be deadlift attempt changes. So it'll be interesting because the weight on the bar can't go down. So not only do you need to like look at the attempt changes for like for your own class, but you're gonna need to pay attention to the 63s and the 69s respectively.
Yeah,
We lost Joey.
he's probably doing something. Well, next up is 83s, right, for men? I'm not skipping
Yep.
anything. Now, maybe I'm a sexist man for saying this, but I think this is our most interesting weight class so far. Can I get a approval from Jackie on that?
Yeah, I mean like this is definitely I think actually it's probably tied between
Just so far, so far.
oh so far. Yes, so far.
Okay.
I would agree with that.
All right. I'll kick off 83s here with who's all relevant, which is a lot of people here. So we have Russell Orhe currently holding the Sheffield number to beat, which is 870.5. We have Joe Bornstein, Sean Noriega, Delaney Wallace, Chris Perez, Angelo Fortino, Sean Jin, and Taylor Atwood. And I'm leaving some off the list here, I believe. But these are kind of the top dogs in terms of qualifying total and who has a realistic shot at podium. Um, so I'll just kind of start breaking down what I'm thinking. I think Russ's total gets beat. I think most people are in agreement with that, mainly because of one man, Joe Bornstein. He is just on a tear. He's perhaps one of the best pound for pound in the world right now. A lot of this is hype. He's only done 865 on the platform, which isn't insane. Obviously, Russ has done more, but his training numbers, he's done 900 kilos in training, which is ridiculous. He did 876 in training recently with, I think, doubles on squat and then singles on bench and deadlift. Still nuts, still over what Russ currently has. Um, After Joe, I think it's hard to say. I think Sean Noriega and Atwood are kind of my next up guys there. Sean's training looks really good. He's a little hit and miss in training. I think he's done a lot better recently at actually hitting his lifts. He used to be a 6 for 9 guy who just reached and didn't get there. He hit 850 at his, I think this was like his qualifying total for this meet. Um, Really, really well. His lifts weren't like RP 10, so I think he has room to grow, which is kind of insane. At 850 room to grow, I think he has a shot at breaking Russ's 870. That's I think albeit on a 9 for 9 day. If he misses his lift, I don't think he's relevant anymore. And then Taylor Atwood, his training looks freaking nuts. He's not a real heavy training type of guy. He trains moderate, and then on the platform he shows up.
You say that
But
he just doesn't post his top sets. We have no idea if he
maybe he's
actually
hiding.
doesn't
Maybe
train.
he's hiding, sure. But at his last meet, he did, I don't know what it was called, what the meet was called, but it was like a local meet. Um, and I think what's really interesting is he totaled 830 with the easy squat, an easy bench, and I mean, he went heavy on his deadlift, but it wasn't super hard. So it probably had like somewhere 5, 7.5 on the day, now maybe 10. Um, but I think what's really interesting is his historical total, his crazy total at 74 was 838.5. So obviously a little more than what he totaled at his qualifying meet. His squat was like 303, benched 195, and pulled 340.5. So his three lifts that gave him that insane first 600 dots, best lifter in the world total are pretty much where his 83 numbers are on like an easy day. So if we just kind of extrapolate that data and give him some juice from being 9 kilos heavier or whatever it is, I I mean he could be like 880. He could be nuts. I don't know. I think a lot of guys in this class, I think Joe Bornstein's the obvious favorite here. He's totaled 900 in training. That's unbelievable. But like between Noriega, Delaney's looking good, Chris Perez is strong, Angelo's strong, Sean Jin. I think Atwood and Nori are a little ahead of the pack of the rest. But I think we could see like three guys go break Russ's 870.
I mean, it's wild because you used to say 800 keys was a stalwart of being like an elite level 83. I think we have 8 to 10 guys who total over 800 keys in one day. I mean, you have an entire prime time of 83s. And I think realistically, I think the podium, I don't think we'll see three people over Russ's total, but I think to podium and get third, you're gonna have to be 855-ish. Like I think that's gonna get third. Again, and again, when we a lot of times when you do predictions, you're assuming everyone hits, everyone goes 9 for 9.
Mhm.
There's gonna be misses, especially in this class. I will say it's the best Angelo's training may have ever
Mm.
looked. His training looks unreal. He
Yeah,
learned how to bench press.
he's
Uh,
on a tear.
his 320 squat looked pretty dang good. His bench looks like he made bench 177 to 182. And his pull is always huge. I don't see Angelo pulling to win, but he is someone that I could see him pulling to get a podium spot and to knock someone out in a spot that you just assume ahead. The one thing with Delaney is he just bought Mount Vernon Barbell and they just opened a location. I know he does a lot of speaking events as well, so just curious how the external stuff is affecting Delaney's training. But obviously, he is a multiple Sheffield competitor. But yeah, I mean, this 83 class is probably the deepest men's class. And I think it's wild how 800 kilo went from you're an elite level lifter to 800 kilo means that you're barely making prime time.
Man, like if you miss a lift, You're gonna get bumped down like so many spots.
Yeah, this is
Yeah, I
nuts.
mean, you could go from third to seventh off of one miss or one pull. Like it is wild the amount of movement you may have just from one missed lift. So who wants to go first with their
Well,
predictions?
well, Jackie, anything else to add before we start doing predictions? Good job echoing Angelo, Joey. I kind of left him out in my rant. I mean, his training looks nuts. I think it's 867 and a half if you add up all of his best lifts of training. That's pretty
Yeah.
freaking nuts.
Uh, I I feel like yeah, no, I feel like Sean could come in strong, but I think that the execution needs to be there on the
Yeah.
day. I'm interested to see how bench depth is called for him, in particular. Um, if it's like they were last year, it's not going to be a problem. So, but you just never know. It really depends on your referees. Um, I I don't know. Can I just give my picks?
If yeah, we talked to
Yeah.
most everyone. I just didn't want to cut you off. Go for it.
Yeah, so I got Joe in first. I'm not sure if he'll total 900. If he does, that would be sick. But I don't know if that'd be necessary, honestly. Like, it might just be something, maybe like if he's so far ahead by the second deadlift, he load it up, try to go for it. But I think that he's probably gonna comfortably win. Um, and then my second place is hard to tell. I think that I will probably put Taylor Atwood in second place just because, he's had so much experience, and you're right, like he'll hit his lifts effortlessly in training and then just like leave it all out on the platform. So I think he's gonna get third, and then in or second, and my third place pick is gonna be Angelo Fortino. I think his training has looked really good, and he's got a big deadlift, so uh I think in like these really tight battles it really helps to be a deadlift specialist. I think that you get to see everyone else's cards, and you get to load up exactly what you need. So I think that's going to be a good benefit for him.
Jackie knows ball, man. Those are my exact picks. I got Joe, Atwood, Angelo. So I'll go next and explain my reasoning. I don't think Joe's hitting 900 because I think Atwood is going to go bar for bar with him through squat and bench, and then I think Joe just pulls away a bit in deadlift. Because I mean I think Atwood's probably squatting 305 to 310, and Joe's probably squatting that 305 range, and then I think Joe beats him on bench by a little bit and then pulls ahead on deadlift. So I think it'll be really close. So I don't think Joe's gonna have a free pass to just ball out and go for 900. But I'm gonna give Joe the edge there. I think Atwood comes in. I think he's just the strongest, the second strongest person right now. So I'm gonna give him second. And then I don't think Angelo is the third strongest in terms of just absolute strength. But I think like Delaney is gonna be up there. Sean Jin's gonna be swinging. Chris Perez gonna be swinging. I think these guys are just gonna miss one. I know I hyped up Sean Noriega, but it's tough to bet on him to go 9 for 9. I'll be honest. So I'm gonna guess Sean misses a squat or a deadlift and kind of knocks him out of the race. And I think Angelo just plays his own game, is 8 for 8 going into his last pull, and then pulls his third deadlift to just secure probably third place. Maybe if it's within range, he tries to pull would beat Atwood. But I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, Joe, Atwood, Angelo.
Yeah, I think this is going to be interesting because one, you also have like the coach side of it as well as Joe Bornstein obviously had the injury at Junior World swinging, or I mean Junior Nationals trying to swing for an absurd total to try to get a chance for Sheffield, ended up getting hurt, put up an amazing performance at Raleigh, and his training has taken off. Be curious to see who's actually handling him on the day to see are we swinging for the fences of a top end, or are we being smart enough to secure a win in a world spot? Obviously, you have a handful of Marcellus clients here. You have Sean, you have Chris Perez works with Marcellus as well. You have really kind of the showcase of John Song here with Angelo and Sean Jin. Taylor's been heavily experienced. I think Matt Gary normally handles Taylor. I'm not sure if he's going to be there for that. So you have a lot of really good lifters. I actually thought I was being sneaky with the Taylor pick at second, but obviously now I'm just following a trend. It has been really cool to see his training really take off. But yeah, I agree. I think you could have anywhere, like anyone place anywhere. And if Joe doesn't just take what's there on the day, I think he could easily go from a heavy favorite to falling off. So I think it just depends if he's intelligent and takes what he needs to win, or if he takes swings for the huge 900 kilo total. But I have Joe in first, Taylor in second, and then I have Delaney in third. Delaney, I'm just going with the experience. And again, it's one of those things where I think this is one of the biggest classes where do you swing for wins? Do you swing for seconds? Do you secure podium? I think someone's going to end up getting second or third based on pulling for second or third and letting people pull for wins. And honestly, I think Angelo wants to go to Worlds bad enough where I see him pulling something absurd that's just out of realm. Another person with an absolutely huge pull is Shun Jabril.
Hmm.
Started working with Marcellus as well, has a massive pull. I don't think he'll be in that realm. I could see him in that 815 to 820 realm. Huge total, but I don't think that's going to be enough to podium. But I have Joe, Taylor, and then Delaney.
I think that's fair. Let me ask you one thing before we move on. What is an unreasonable pull for Angelo? Because he pulled 365, which I know he's done a couple times, but it looked crisp, brother.
If Angelo can load 380 or less, I'd give him a 50-50. I think
Yeah,
over
three
three,
380
I
is
think
crazy.
380 is the most I'd be willing to see him load and give him a chance. I
Yeah,
could see Angelo second. This is just pure conjecture, but his second being right around that 350 to 355 mark, which that's right in the range where it's dumb enough to load 380 if you think it should have
mhm.
it. But I think if it's under 370, I'd give him a good chance. I see him loading like a 380 to try to either go first or second, and missing is where I have him off the podium. But I think if he has 370 or less, I'd give him a good shot.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think I was thinking like 375 is like a top end pull for him, just the way his 365 moved. But once you get that high, your form breaks down a little bit. So it's
Did you,
obviously like a
but
50-50.
would you doubt him loading 380 if he needed to?
No, I mean, if he's in like fifth or something currently, he's just gonna load wherever he wants to get wherever he wants. I mean, no harm in that.
All right, so the first class we're gonna ask the question of Jackie, are you just zipping your mouth on this one or
Oh, I'm gonna mute you and I'm gonna go get a water
Oh, you're actually
and
gonna dip? Okay, I thought you were just
yeah,
gonna let
I'm
us. Yeah.
dipping.
Oh, that's crazy.
Listen, I will not participate in bad juju.
That's
So,
fine. All right,
yeah,
we'll
I'll
we'll
just
text you
mute
when we're done.
myself, turn my volume off, and you can like go like this or something when you're done.
We'll just. Oh, okay. You're staying here. We're just gonna mute.
Yeah, I gotta go get some water though. So
All right.
bye.
okay, so yeah, the 69 class, this is just me and Dev. Obviously, Jackie is very heavily in a battle. I will say on this one, Dev and I have seen some of Jackie's training at Circle City. We're only going to be talking specifically about what has been public. And we're not going to give y'all any sneak peeks into what we know outside of what's publicly known. But obviously, this class is very top heavy. There's a lot of good lifters. My big honorable mention, I don't think she'll be competitive, is just seeing Danny Mello back on the platform. Three weight classes, two weight classes down, and the first time in like 3 years she's been on the platform. I don't see her being anywhere near podium, but even if she could go like 455 to 470, it'd be awesome to see. It's just going to be cool to see her back on the platform a couple years later. But obviously, I think this is a very top heavy battle between Gabby, Celine, and Jackie. The way I had it mapped out, if everyone hits lifts, which someone may miss, I have 570 beating the podium, like third place, which is insane to see that we may have three women over 570 in one battle. But honestly, if you could give me an argument for Gabby, Celine, or Jackie, and I'd have trouble debating it. All the training's going very, very well. Celine going up a weight class has done her very well. Gabby's an extremely consistent lifter. Didn't have the best world showing, but especially domestically when she's in the US, she just tends to crush it. And Jackie's training's just been an upward trajectory. She kind of mentioned at the start of the podcast, she's put on like 50 or 70 kilos in the last couple of years, which is wild because at Memphis, she pulled for fourth place in USAPL Nats, and now is going to be in a spot where she's going to be pulling for potentially a world spot here. So, what do you have to add with the 69s?
Yeah, I hate to say it, but you did a pretty good job at overviewing that. The only honorable mention other than the top three, Jackie, Celine, and Gabby, good good shout out to Danny. She That's probably, I think, the most popular YouTube video in like powerlifting history, her going against Amanda. So cool to see her back. I think that video has like 6 million views or something ridiculous.
A 600
But
kilo body weight battle, and they were both like 20 years old at the time.
yeah, it was pretty sick. It was a couple years ago, but good to see her back. But I didn't research anyone else other than Jackie, Celine, and Gabby because I think these are the top three guys, top three gals. Um, but yeah, I mean, Jackie's right here with us. She's got us muted, but I hate to say it, but this is tough to choose, man. I would love to say Jackie's a big favorite here, but that would just be disingenuous. Looking at their squat, bench, deadlift, I think I think Celine has the advantage in squat by like 2.5 keys. And then I think Gabby comes in right after that. And then I think Jackie is the lowest end squatter here. Her and Gabby are so close, kind of hard to say. When it comes to bench, I think Jackie's the bigger bencher. That's not anything crazy to say, I don't think. I think Celine and Gabby are pretty identical in bench. And then when it comes to deadlift, I think Gabby is the pretty big favorite here in the deadlift, which hate to say it, that's a huge advantage. I don't think they're all going like the 560 to 570 range you're saying. I think they all have the potential to do that, but I think with them going head to head, it's going to water down the totals a little bit. But man, I don't know. I don't. Do you have anything to add before you just choose the three here?
Yeah, I mean, the last thing I'll say is I think we're both biased in the sense that we're both hoping Jackie wins. I'm
Hmm.
going to be objective with my picks, especially since Jackie has us muted and turned down. I'm going to be objective with my picks, but I'm hoping Jackie wins fully biasly. But I will start the uncomfortable picking and just go for it. So with what you said, I agree. I think Gabby's pull is just the trump card. I heard some rumors of her having some trouble squat training leading up, but the last couple posts she made, her squat looks good. I do think we're gonna have a lot of records broken in this class. Like I think everyone at some point is gonna have a chip on squat. I think they're gonna be chipping each other's chips. But I have with the pool Gabby in first, Jackie in second, and Celine in third. Celine is known for loading an absurd deadlift to try to win. I think that's what's going to happen. I actually think Celine's going to be in a position where she would be strong enough to pull for second, but I think she loads enough to try to win and misses and gets third. And I think Jackie's going to end up being in first for a little while. Gabby's going to pull to take the lead, and Celine's going to load something that's just out of her realm and giving her third. But again, I could have Gabby, Jackie, or Celine in first and wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I want to be disagreeing with you, but I think that's pretty accurate. I'm also biasly rooting for Jackie here, but I think Gabby is the objectively strongest 69 here. Looking at the records, I think the squat record will be up for grabs. Bench is out of range for everyone. It's 144. I'm not sure who said that. That was pulled from like USAPL or something. Um,
That would
and
be Jen
then,
Thompson.
oh, that's Jen Thompson, isn't it? Yeah. Dang, she's still plaguing us. Yeah, so I don't think anyone's going 144. And then the deadlift record's 235, so I could see Gabby chipping that, but I'm not sure Celine or Jackie have 235 plus in them. So, hate to say it, but I think unless Gabby misses, I think she wins. I think she's got first just because she's so close in squat, so close in bench, and then it has the bigger pull. So I don't really see how she could mess it up without literally missing a lift. So I'm going to give her first place. I think they're going very, very similar in terms of total to last year. I think Gabby won with 553. I'm assuming they're going to be in the 555-ish to 560 range. But I'm going to say I think I think you nailed it. I think Jackie's going to be in first on her third pull, and then Gabby's going to, well, I don't know, because Celine will probably pull a little heavier than Jackie. So I could say like Jackie's in first. Celine goes to beat Jackie on a pull and misses, and then Gabby beats all of them on a big pull. So I will say, unfortunately, I think Gabby comes away with this. I think Jackie and Celine are kind of a toss up for second and third. Obviously, they don't care about second and third. They all want first place. So I'm going to say Gabby, Jackie, Celine, which I think is exactly what you said.
Yep. We're matching up there. Now, how do we get Jackie's
I don't
attention?
know. She turned her camera off, though.
I know she
There she is.
Hello.
we're
Hey,
back. We are back and done with the 63s, and we're on to the
69s.
90 or 69s and on to the 93s. 93s is another very, very competitive weight class with all kind of world's experience. You have Gavin Aiden, who has the world record still, or no, had the world record at 93 until it was broken in
Hmm.
Sheffield. Brandon Petrie, who won nationals last year and went to worlds, and Jonathan Keiko, who has probably one of the most viral moments in powerlifting on a second Sheffield where he looked like an anime character while waiting his turn for his third deadlift. And you also have some very, very incredible lifters. Dominique Fuqua on a tirade coached by Steve Denovi. Demetrius Smith has a huge deadlift and has a couple extra kilos to work with coming up from 90 in USAPL. Kyle De Leon, a former 82 and a half, now has put on a lot of kilos and a lot of strength. Jamar Royster with probably the biggest squat. I think he'll have a squat battle with Gavin. I don't see him being in the total realm necessarily. And then Brandon Jones and Andre Easter to wrap up primetime are very, very good lifters, even though I don't see them in the necessarily running to win. I do think they could be outside shots for podium if people start missing lifts.
Yeah, I think the only thing to add in terms of people would be, I don't think you mentioned Jack Reynolds. He's not going to be in the running
Oh
to
yeah.
win. He's actually in the earlier session, but I think he's like freaking 18 years old, totaling I think like 850 or something. Just a very impressive young lifter. So just wanted to give him a shout out.
Yep, yep. Anything to add for you, Jackie?
Yeah, I mean, I think like Gavin, Brandon, Petrie, they're all sorry, Gavin, Petrie, and Jonathan are all like, pretty big names, but yeah, Dominique Fuqua is looking crazy strong. And I also think like the people coming up from a weight class, don't ever underestimate the value of being able to eat into a meet. Um, it's a huge advantage, and I think, especially, like, Gavin in the past, like, I think he missed on weight last year, so he's probably not, like, in a big calorie surplus coming into the meet, so it's just, like, there's small details that could potentially change the outcome on the meet day, or I could be completely wrong, and it doesn't matter at all, but
What
yeah,
gets third? Do we have a 900 kilo podium here?
in my
Mm,
scouting, yes, I think so.
I don't think we have a 900 kilo podium.
Do
I
we
think
have
so.
someone who could unofficially break the world record total of what is it, 925, 930 now?
It's whatever Emil Krastev said at Sheffield, which I believe was 925.
In that range, do we have
Mm,
someone unofficially break the world record to win this meet?
I don't think we do. I don't think it's necessary.
So you what do you think wins it? Right around like 910, 915?
Yeah, so I'll dive into my side. I got Keiko as my favorite. You can say flex bias or whatever. He's a multiple time world champion, multiple time Sheffield podiumer. His training looks absolutely nuts. His squat is usually kind of his roughest lift. It's looking pretty dang good. I think he squatted 318 in training, so that's like 10 kilos above his, maybe even more above his competition best squat. He benched 253, which I think is over his own world record. It
He's
looks
trying to
pretty
outbench
good.
you.
I know, dude. Keiko is looking nuts, man. And then he pulled 356. He's not the greatest puller ever, but 356 is a pretty dang good pull, and that it's not low enough to make him vulnerable. So I mean, if you put his training together, it's a 927 total. I love Brandon Petrie. I like Gavin. Dominique looking strong, but I don't think anyone is touching Keiko on a good day. And he's just a super consistent guy. He doesn't really miss lifts. If he does, it's like a 2.5 kilo jump that he just couldn't do. So I got him coming in at like 910, 915, just comfortably putting himself in first. I don't think anyone's going to be really that close to him. Because I think he has the bench, maybe the American record. If not, he has access to his 245.5 is the current record, so he can take that chip pretty comfortably. I think I would have Gavin a little more competitive if he didn't miss a squat every single time he competes ever. He's just
But I was just saying, I feel like he gets judged harder than almost anyone. I'm like some of Gavin's calls he's gotten over the years were tough. I mean, he totaled 901 at NAPF with a
Mhm.
missed squat. That was a
Well, it was a
very
miss.
tough call.
Let me talk about that. First of all, he squats super borderline, so I don't think he's going to disagree that he is, he's kind of in that area where he's going to be judged toughly. He squats parallel every single time. At NAPF, he opened like 310, I think, and then jumped to 341. So he's pretty much taking his third attempt on his second. So he did miss it and then come back and get it, which was a jury overturn. Good for him, happy for him. Um, but he just doesn't go 3 for 3 on squats, and squat is his freaking secret weapon. I think the big problem with him is I don't think he'll be able to chip anything on squats because I think Jamar is going to steal that American record before Gavin's able to start playing around with chips, which is a disadvantage for Gavin. And then I watched some of Gavin's YouTube training. His last squat that I saw was 310. His squats look slow once they get heavy, but he just puts on 30 more kilos and moves it. So maybe that's not a great gauge of where he's at. But he failed a 500-pound bench. Not like a horrible fail, but just too much in the day. And then he dropped down and hit 225 and a half. So I think 220 is his best in train or best in competition, but he just hasn't touched that in a while. I think he's probably back to that, which is good. And then he pulled 345 in training, which is pretty dang good for Gavin. So I would have Keiko as a front runner. I think it's going to be between Gavin and Petrie for second. Petrie has a massive pull, and he pulled 372 and a half in training recently, and it looked really good. He squatted 320. That's probably towards his top end, what he'll put on the platform. And then he hasn't posted bench in a while, but I'll release some insider info I think that I have. It's not really insider info. At the worker event in Chicago, I swear I saw him bench like 200 when he was training next to me, and it looked pretty easy. So I think he's somewhere around there, which I think is good progress for him. So I'm gonna have Petrie probably comfortably holding down second, and then if Gavin swings for Keiko or Petrie, I think Petrie just pulls bigger on his third because he has that little weapon loaded up. And then special shout out to Dominique, Demetrius, Kyle DeLeon, Jamar. They're gonna be putting up some big numbers. Brandon Jones as well, but I just don't think they're in that same realm as Keiko, Petrie, and Gavin.
Jackie, you can
Um,
go next.
so I actually have Petrie in first. Um, I mean it's kind of a toss up between Keiko and Petrie, but um I think that Brandon's caught some crazy momentum in his training. Like I know a couple months back, like he wasn't, or maybe it was like his polls weren't going, I think, as well as he wanted them to. But now, like he smoked 372.5. So I think that when training starts to lock in and go good, or go well, um, that's a really good thing to happen right in a meet prep, and they all kind of have that dog in them, but I'm gonna put Brandon first, and then I'll put Keiko, and then I'll put Aiden in third. Just because as I just the squat, it's borderline sometimes, so I think that he really needs that. Um, so just making sure that like he gets all three of his squats, I think that'll help him a lot, but I don't think it'll be enough for him to catch Petrie and Keiko. And then I don't know, I think Dominique Fuqua could give some hell to the podium though. I don't think that we should count a lot of the names we talked about out. It'll come down to the day, but I have Petrie, Keiko, Aiden.
All right, and then to wrap it up, we all three have slightly different. I agree with Dev. I think Keiko's going to win. I think actually taking the year off, which is super hard to do as an athlete, like mentally, emotionally, and just competitive wise. Everyone at this level is a high competitive athlete in their brain, and it's hard to turn it off. I think Keiko taking last year off after Sheffield was the best thing he could have done. He looks healthier than ever. He kind of talked about how he hadn't competed healthy in years and was still doing what he was doing. I think we'll see the closest to a full healthy Keiko we've seen in a long time. So I have Keiko winning. I have Gavin in second. You can argue the last couple 93 battles that Gavin's been the strongest lifter, and just between depth calls, bench depth call, and the fact that he takes some massive jumps, it just hasn't pulled out for him. But I have Gavin in second. I have Petrie in third. Actually, and Dominique Foucault looks unreal. Actually, the person who I think potentially could pull for third is Demetrius Smith. His deadlift looks insane. He trains out of Milwaukee. he has a huge, huge deadlift, which I think if Petrie pulls to try to win or get second, he could miss and Demetrius could pull into third. So that's the person if I don't have Petrie at third, that would be Demetrius Smith. But I have Keiko, Gavin, and then Petrie to round out my top three for the 93s.
Very nice.
To move on to the first women's weight class where we have one weight class in the entire prime time, the 76 women. We have 12 women in prime time for 76. So it is the day three, flight A is just the 76 show. Cranon came out last year and just absolutely shook everyone. And when I say everyone, shook me at Worlds. I think her nationals performance was a very good day. I think she nationals is about where I expected her to go at 565. I will say the
Mhm.
585 that she put up at Worlds absolutely took me by surprise. I know she does a lot of different things with Gymshark and like really her powerlifting's her sideshow to being an influencer. Like she makes her living as an influencer. And it's wild to see the progress. She's still semi-new to the sport. And honestly, maybe pushing towards that 600 kilo range if she can kind of dedicate a period of time to powerlifting. Jessica Kinney and then Jasmine C, formerly Jasmine Penn, are also incredible, incredible lifters. Obviously, Dana McNeil recently dropped out, which is a bummer. She's had a lat injury. She pulled like 540 for a 3 or 4. That was one of the craziest deadlift sets I've ever seen. Which is a bummer. I would have had her in that podium race if she was healthy. Um, but yeah, I do think it's kind of a top loaded with Cran and Jessica Kinney and Jasmine C um,
Mhm.
for podium spot.
I mean, I pretty much agree with you. I think it's gonna be those three in what orders, probably. I think it'll probably be between second and third place will be like probably the main battle. I don't think I think Crandon's had a little bit of an injury, so perhaps that could shave a little bit off her total, but she's just so strong. Um, but I think that Jasmine's training has been looking really nice and like especially like a lot of the sets she's been posting recently, she looks pretty strong. And it's a little bit hard to gauge Jessica because her training is pretty submaximal, but she shows up on the platform pretty well.
And Jessica Kinney is a pretty experienced lifter, so is Jasmine C. Like, it's funny because the strongest lifter is definitely the least experienced. But I mean, after what Cranon did at Worlds last year, I don't think the being semi-new compared to Jessica and Jasmine really affects her because I can tell you I had Cranon nowhere near podium last year at Worlds and pulled third. And is she going to World Games? Because if so, she has a very busy year this year with nationals, Worlds, and the World Games.
I
Yeah,
think
I don't know if
so.
she's going. Yeah. To add my input, Jackie, I think you said it'd be a battle between second and third. I don't I think Cranon and Jasmine are 1 and 2 pretty comfortably, and then Jessica's probably rounding out our third place. Is that what you meant? I'm wondering if you're thinking there's someone else who can battle for,
No, I
or
think I
am I
think
talking crazy? Are we
I
saying
think
No.
Jessica
Jessica?
Kinney's going to be very. I think Jessica
Yeah.
Kinney can beat
Oh, we think
Jasmine.
she's going to rival Jasmine. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
Well,
I
I
think
yeah, that's what I
I
was saying. I
okay.
think
I
I
Brandon's
just
gonna
wanted to
win.
clarify. Yeah.
I
Okay.
have
Yeah.
Cranon with not being at her best, right around that 565 she hit last year.
Yeah.
I have Jessica Kinney and Jasmine C both in the 540 to 550 range. Like I actually, yeah, I think Jessica Kinney. If Jasmine C misses and doesn't have a perfect day, I could definitely see Jessica Kinney getting second.
Okay. So I think it's a big bummer that Dana dropped out because looking at her training, I thought she could rival Cranon even on a good day for Cranon because she
Mhm.
had like a 260 deadlift like loaded in her. She was looking nuts. So big bummer she dropped out. With her dropping out, I think Cranon is a pretty comfortable favorite. I think the biggest hit she's going to have is her squat. I think it's some sort of hip injury going on right now. But I think her best competition bench is 120, and she tripled it recently in training. So obviously bench is looking good. Deadlift is looking good. She pulled 240 in training. So I think she's up there in the 560 to 560 or yeah, 565 range for her nationals total, which should be comfortable. Don't think Jessica or Jasmine are going to be touching that. But looking at Jasmine's training, I think I got a 542.5 training total from her recently. Her best in competition is 560, which might be at like a slightly higher weight class, or maybe 1 kilo lower or something like that.
1 kilo or lower. She
One
actually
kilo
gets a
lower.
kilo going
Okay.
to PA from USAPL.
Okay. So that 540 training that I found from her that I added all together, it was pretty tough. So I don't think there's a ton of room left. I think she could be back around her 560 match from her USAPL days. And I think if she's even close to that, I don't see Jasmine making, sorry, I don't see Jessica making like a 20 kilo progress. Although, like Jackie said, she doesn't really show a ton of heavy training. I think she had like a bench PR recently, which could add up to her total. But I think, I don't know, maybe I'm being a square, but I think it's Cranon and then Jasmine and then Jessica, pretty clean cut. I don't think anyone's gonna upset anybody.
Jackie,
Mm,
uh,
so I still have Cranon uh winning. I mean, I think out of all of them, she has the biggest deadlift, so I could see her just playing squat conservative. Her bench looks great. I think she tried to take like 120 by 4, that's like her meet PR, so she'll probably she'll probably PR her bench pretty easily, and then yeah, pull what she needs for the win. So yeah, she could probably do 565 um without much question on the day. Not being healthy. Of course, if she feels good, she'll definitely exceed that. But I think it's a little bit more of a toss up with Jessica and Jasmine. Um I mean, Jasmine's squats are looking great. Like, I think she could match her all-time PR at least, on squats, and then, I think their bench is gonna be close, but, um, I think going into pulls, Jasmine is at a disadvantage, so she's gonna need to load, exactly what she thinks she can hit on the 3rd, but, if she misses that, I think Jess Kinney's in a position to pull for 2nd, so I'm actually gonna go with Cranon, Jessica, and Jasmine as my
I agree. I think it's closer than Dev does between Jasmine and Jessica for second. I do think Jasmine has a slight advantage over Jessica, and I have Jasmine getting second. I do have Cranon winning. I have Cranon, like I said, at about 565, where she was last year nationals. I have Jasmine right around 550-ish. I have her a little bit under her best. And then I have Jessica like 540, 545. The one thing with Jessica, she just put up a very casual, like tune-up meet in Wisconsin where she totaled 507 on like 7 attempts. She was semi-heavy there. She was like 79. I know
yeah.
a lot of times in a tune-up meet you won't cut, but that it's a little bit heavier than I was expecting to see her. I was expecting to see her closer to that 77, 78 mark. So she may have a little bit harder cut than she's used to, but I do have her very, very close to Jasmine. I just don't know if she pulls it out. So I have Cranon, Jasmine, Jessica.
Yeah, I think Jessica tends to cut pretty aggressively into her meets, so personally, I don't think it'll be a problem for her.
There you go. 105s. And is it confirmed that Ashton is dropped?
I did text Ashton because he transferred to the 120s and he gave me a bit of a spook. I don't think he's doing nationals. I think he changed in case he was going to, but I think he is coming to his senses and relaxing and gonna skip out on this one.
Look, we need more random too bad registrations drop. We just need more random 120s to show up to stress them
Yeah.
out even more.
Bob drops out and gives me a chance. Now everyone's a 120 all of a sudden.
You don't have enough going on in your life mentally, so we
Yeah, I
need to
know.
add more 120s.
All right, 105 should be pretty fun though, I think. I'll kick us off. I'll kick us off. So I think I don't want to say favorite because he has a 75 kilo total, or he will. Keenan Lee. Keenan Lee will be coming from the USAPL from South Korea over to Powerlifting America. He is a dual citizen, so he is not a guest. He will actually be competing. Um, he talked that talk on the King of List podcast. I don't know if y'all listened to that. Um, he pretty much told his fiance when they were scheduling like their honeymoon and any sort of vacations, like let's stay away from the UK, let's stay away from Germany because I'm going to Worlds and I'm going to Sheffield. I like Keenan, super strong guy. Those are some crazy bold takes, but I respect it, and he's in a position to back it up, so it's not out of the world. I think he's not showing insane training, but he's definitely looking strong. I think he is ready for somewhere in that 960 to 980 range. I know it's kind of a big range, but somewhere up there. But he will have the big disadvantage of being in the early session, not the prime time session. And that leads me to the next person to talk about, Anthony McNaughton. I don't know if Keenan is unaware of who this man is, but the way he was talking on that King Lewis podcast, the whole time I was just thinking, does he know who Anthony is? Anthony will be in prime time. Anthony is a dog. Anthony could out total the 120s. I gotta put some respect on Anthony's name, man. The Keenan was talking crazy. I think Anthony is right there, step for step with Keenan. So I think their totals are gonna be dang close, and Anthony has the huge advantage of just seeing what he needs to do, and he can plan out his squat, bench, deadlift, and he will be chilling. So I'll let you guys discuss them, but I want to just tag a couple other 105s who will be here. Kevin Paul comes in third with the qualifying total. I'm not saying he places third, but on qualifying total. Um, Debo Edward, he will be competing. He's a big favorite of powerlifting, very strong dude. And then shout out to David Wilson who will be competing. I think his total is pretty low because he's been injured, but he is definitely a name to look out for.
Well, he's listed at 75 kilos. David Wilson's been fighting injuries, and he
Yeah,
looks like he's getting healthier. He's been pretty transparent and pretty public about it. He's definitely not at his peak. I don't see him being in a podium battle yet, just with his health. Huge pull. I mean, he's pulled 400, like almost pulled 400 kilos to
Mhm.
be Ashton one year, like huge deadlifter. But yeah, I just don't see him healthy enough to be in that battle yet. But I definitely think Keenan and Anthony are going to be the 1, 2. I think Kevin, Paul, and Debo are going to be in the battle for third. And yeah, I'm going to make a jab at Dev. I think the winner of 105 out totals the winner of 120 at this meet. So that is my hot take of the day, that the winner of 105 beats the winner of 120. And I do think that we could have potentially have two 105s breaking the unofficial world record. I think breaking the one of unofficial world record, because the unofficial world record is still 940.5.
Yep.
I don't think 940 gets you second.
Yeah, I think they both break 940 pretty easily, honestly. I think they both have totals
Yeah.
over 940, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
Keenan's best total is
Well,
957 and Anthony's 945. 940,
and
957 was done at 105.7 at USAPL for Keenan.
I think that Anthony's most recent local meet was pretty comfortable for the most part.
He missed a third squat. If you would have gotten it, he'd have been at like 960, I think, at the local meet.
Yeah, so but I mean like I think there was room in the tank at least on the deadlift. So yeah, I think this one's a hard one. I think that it really stinks that Keenan's not in prime time.
Agreed.
Um but I mean there's not much you can do about that. Um but I just think the sheer advantage of being in prime time and seeing what you need to win is probably going to push Anthony into first and Keenan into second, in my opinion.
Well, since we already got your first and second, who do you have in third, Jackie?
I don't know. I didn't even scout the other ones. It was just between those two.
Well, take your guess between Kevin Paul and Debo Edward.
I mean, I'd probably put Debo Flex. Yeah.
You go in Debo at third. I will say Debo, he came over from the deadlift bar side. His first 1 to 2 meets in Powerlifting America, I definitely think there's a transitionary period for him. But he's been over at PA now for over a year, and I think he's showing a little bit more of his like actual top end strength in the 2 hour weigh in stiff bar side. I'll follow actually the same top three. I have Anthony McNaughton at first, Keenan Lee at second, and Dward Lee at third. Dorley actually came and did a meet with Dev here in the USPA in Indiana. What, 2021, Dev? What had that been?
Is that at ICB?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
2022, I think.
2022. Yeah, he came out
Yeah.
and competed. Very experienced lifter, has been around the sport for a long time. So you have Anthony, Keenan, and then Dwardley.
Jackie, did you pick Anthony over Keenan?
I did.
Okay. So I have to mention after Joey's jab, I think Anthony and Keenan probably do out total whoever wins the 120s, but I think that's because whoever wins the 120s won't need to go that crazy. That's how I'll defend myself. But I'll also make another hot take. I think if Keenan and Anthony were both in prime time, I think Keenan wins because he has a huge pull advantage and they're very
Mm.
similar otherwise. But I think because since Anthony is in prime time and Keenan is not, I think Anthony wins. So big advantage here for Anthony with the prime time spot. But I just have them too close. I think Keenan, and the thing is, Anthony knows exactly what he's going to need. So he doesn't have to reach for anything. He can set a perfect this squat, this bench, this deadlift gives me the win, and all I know, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and he's fine. Keenan,
Yeah.
Keenan might load up like 5 keys more than he has, but like he doesn't know that he doesn't need to do that, you know? So big disadvantage here for Keenan. I think he's probably objectively a bit stronger than Anthony, but I think the advantage gives Anthony the win, probably in that 960 to 970 range, which I think the 120s might be just around there too. So I'll give Anthony that win, Keenan in second, and I'll just choose Kevin Paul for third, just to make it a little different than you guys.
Sounds good.
We lost Joe. That's all right. When he comes back, I'll tell him so he can keep track of all of our picks. So after
Okay,
105s, we
so
bounce to the 84s, right?
yep, so the 84s, I think the narrative again changed a little bit when Amanda Lawrence signed up.
Is she actually doing it?
She's signed up. I don't know if
I
she,
know
Yeah,
that, but so is
I
Waskar. Waskar's signed up.
no, Washkar's no longer on the roster.
Oh,
yeah.
really? She's
I
showing.
think
No way she's
Amanda's
showing
doing
up.
it.
Really?
I,
I thought
I
she
mean,
wasn't.
she just did like a pretty heavy pull in training, so it makes sense. Like her training is lining up to do this.
Oh, word. Okay, that's cool.
Um, and then some other notable people. Um, well, I think Amanda has the dub locked up.
You think so?
Uh, but we got Tiffany Savage who won last year, and then we got Layla Soto. She's a junior, so she's still kind of progressing as somebody who's like a little bit younger in the sport. So I think that she could, but I don't know if her qualifying total really reflects her strength. And then we'll say like a special shout out to Michelle Robbins. Her bench progress at least has been kind of insane. I'm not
Hmm.
sure about her deadlift. I haven't really been able to tell, but her bench is kind of crazy. So we'll
Yeah, she did
see.
140 at bench nats recently. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, and it
And
was
she's a
easy.
master's lifter, right?
No, I don't think so. I don't think
Mm-mm.
she's.
Oh
She
no,
looks. She looks sort of young.
my bad.
I
My
also
bad.
have Stephanie Feathers in the mix here.
Yeah, I have Stephanie Feathers as my honorable mention as well.
Does Layla Soto have an Instagram? I couldn't find it.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's Layla Taylor. I was actually just about to ask that. So on
Okay.
Open Powerlifting and on her Instagram, she's Layla Taylor, but on the sign up, she's Layla Soto. So I don't know if she got married, if there's a name change, or
Gotcha.
but yeah, so it's Layla Taylor's her Instagram.
Okay. I was looking for her stuff
Yeah.
and I couldn't find it. From what I remember, she's pretty dang strong. I
She's a
thought.
very good lifter. Actually, there was one year where she competed at Collegiate Nationals USAPL and and would have won Open Nats, but didn't sign up and only did Collegiate
Mm,
Nats. Very, very good lifter. She's from Texas.
Hmm.
And yeah, I definitely think she'll be in the running again. I don't see anyone beating Amanda. But I definitely think there will be a good battle for the podium between Tiffany and Layla, Stephanie and Michelle.
yeah. I'll echo that. I really didn't think Amanda was signing up, but if she is, or I didn't think she was actually doing it. I saw she was signed up. If she is, I think she's probably trying to take a shot at establishing herself as the real deal because she's getting a lot of watch out for Agatha coming. So maybe she's
Yeah.
heard too much noise and is ready to put up a big total. But I think the noise coming her way is it's good because it's going to help Amanda out, and Agatha's looking insane. So hopefully we see something big out of her. I feel like she's been kind of stagnant for a while. She hasn't really had any competition pushing her. So hopefully this gets her total moving. Um, but if she's doing it, she's obviously the favorite. Tiffany Savage, I've actually competed with her a couple times, I feel like. She's extremely strong, training looks good, coached by Big Body. Um, Her qualifying total is a good chunk ahead of the rest of the crew. I'm not sure what Layla's was. Does anyone know what Layla's qualifying total was?
556. So it's actually only
$5.56.
Oh,
six
okay.
kilos away.
Okay, so she's pretty up there. I couldn't find her Instagram, so I couldn't do much research on her. Um, but I'm just gonna, I guess, biasly put Tiffany Savage as second. Just because I've seen her, I've seen her compete, seen her train. She's if Amanda wasn't a person, Tiffany would probably be running the 84s in America at
Amanda
least.
wasn't a person. That's wild.
And then coming in third would be between Layla, Stephanie,
Stephanie
or
and Michelle.
Michelle. I'm gonna give it to Layla just because I feel like her name is so familiar, and I don't know, this is based off vibes. I think Layla shows up.
I mean, she's got a huge squat.
She does.
Um, yeah, I mean, she can squat 500 pounds, so I think that's gonna be hard to beat
That's
from
pretty good.
Stephanie and Michelle. Um, I'm gonna go with Amanda wins.
Square square answer.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's just nice to just have a meet where you're not worried about, like at Sheffield, you're always kind of worried about like placing and whatnot. And there's like, it's just nice to have a meet to load whatever you want on your attempts and not really care. Um, so I think that'll help her, at least like push up the total a little bit. Um, and then, I mean, in my opinion, it's kind of toss up between Tiffany and Layla. Um, I think both their training is like pretty good, but I'm gonna go actually with Layla in second place. I think she's just been really consistent in her training and her bench has been looking great. I think she'll load up over 500 for squat. She'll I'm not sure if she'll bench 300, but she'll get close. And her deadlift has actually been looking like it's showing up right in time for nationals. So I'll put her um maybe like I don't know, maybe like 5 or so kilos ahead of Tiffany.
Oh wow.
Cool. I'm gonna copy Dev. I have Amanda, Tiffany, and then Layla. I will say one more person in the honorable mentions is Asha Hopkins. She actually was kind of in a Instagram beef. I don't know if it was serious or joking with Layla going into junior nationals last year.
I'm
Actually,
pretty sure it was serious.
okay. Embalmed on death, but she's a very strong lifter. So I think
Yeah.
Asha has a chance to be in the conversation as well with Tiffany, Layla, Stephanie, and Michelle. But I am going to go with Amanda, Tiffany, and Layla just between experience on the platform and training. But I do think 84 behind Amanda will be a fairly fun class. I just don't see anyone. I think still Amanda wins by 50 to 70 kilos on kind of a coasting day.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Pretty,
120s. Dev, you staying
pretty.
for this one?
I am, but I need to go to the bathroom real quick. So we can wait 60 seconds, or you guys can
We,
talk
we can
about.
just keep we'll just keep talking and
Yeah.
then get your 120 take and we can get our
I,
rude takes out before you get back.
I'm probably gonna watch this back. So whatever you say, I will hear, but I also will be here. So I don't care what you say.
All right, cool. Jackie, you want to start with the 120s?
Yeah, so the 120s, I got the big three are Devin Williams, whoever that guy is, and then Reagan Henderson, and then by qualifying total, it looks like maybe he's not as close, but Jaden Edwards is on a tear right now. So he is definitely part of the conversation. And then there's also we got Mike
I was
Toucher.
just gonna say, are you gonna not include like the person who brought RP over to Powerlifting, Mike Dushare, who also put up at Equip Nationals a huge single ply total, and it looks like he can deadlift 1 million pounds right now. To be honest, his deadlift setup is one of the most interesting things I've ever seen. But it looks like he.
Yeah, I'm glad it works for him. I don't think I'd recommend it
I
unless
would
it
not
works for
recommend
you.
anyone to do Mike T's deadlift setup, but it works and he looks like he can deadlift 1 million pounds. Um, I obviously I'm not going to gate or put anything that's gate kept from Dev's training. He's pretty public. He's been going through some knee issues though. Got PRP. His knee's looking better than ever. Dev, you got any comments on your knee or how training's going on your end?
Yeah, I'll discuss what I'll discuss, and then I won't talk about any other 120, but I'll be here just for ears. So my attendance at nationals is still iffy. It's looking pretty good. Just recently had a son. He came very early, so he's in the NICU. He's doing much better. So It'll be like a 36-hour trip where I'm gone, so not a huge deal. Wife will be here, all good. Appreciate everyone who's reached out to me about that. So chances are I will be at nationals. Injury wise, my knee has been giving me problems since literally like 4 years ago, so that's nothing new. Training has been adjusted, I'll say, for the hospital stays and whatnot. But I'm not coming to nationals if I'm not confident I can win. So if I'm not if my knee hurts on my last squat session or something like that, I'm simply not going, and I'm not leaving my family for a invite to SBD Austin or something like that. If I'm not confident I can win, I will not be there. Um, but I will not discuss any training since my uh, son came into the world, and I will not discuss any other 120s trainings except Rondel at some point. But that is all from Dev.
There you go. All right. So, and Rondell, obviously, the strongest 120 will not be in this conversation because he is a guest lifter. I am curious to see if Rondell beats his 1,045. He did a USAPL Raw Nats in Memphis. I think there's a world where we could potentially see 1,050 from Rondell. He will be in this session. They put him in prime time just because I think at this point it's more of a to being nice to the spotters and loaders to not make him be in the regular session with much less strong
No, no,
lifters.
he qualified because he is in the G weight class, and
Yes.
therefore,
Um, but no, so it definitely, I mean, I think right now the lifter with the most momentum of anyone is Jaden Edwards. He won junior nationals last year in the open session, beating both Sean Mills and Dante De Leon. Jaden's training is on a tear right now. Reagan Henderson looks pretty strong. He didn't miss a couple lifts at his last meet. And then, like I was talking about Mike T, Mike T looks as strong as he's looked in years, and his deadlift is on a tear. I definitely think it'll be a very close battle between the four of them. I will just go ahead in my picks and kind of stop going with this. I will say if anyone except Dev is going to win, my pick would be Jaden Edwards, but I'm going to go Devin first. I'm going to go Jaden Edwards in second, and I'm actually going to go Mike T in third. I think Mike T pulls a huge deadlift to jump ahead of Reagan. So I'm going to go. I do think I'm just going to be hot take. I think Dev's going to be. I think I'll just say this. I won't say anything about Dev's total. I think Jaden Edwards is going to go from a 910 qualifying total. I think Jaden goes 940 to 950. I don't think it's gonna be enough to win, but I think Jaden's gonna give Dev everything he wants and more.
yeah, I mean, I think that we're like pretty similar in our picks. I have Devin in first. I think that Jaden is very much gaining a lot of momentum. So at least in the United States, he's going to become a problem to Devin. But this year, I don't think he's quite there. I think that he could potentially total 950 though. But I think that Dev will probably be able to uh edge him out. But I think everyone has pretty solid deadlifts in this class. I won't lie. So um in third place, I'm gonna put Reagan in third. Just because I was looking at his last meet and like, yeah, he missed a couple things, but I definitely think that he's capable of taking what he learned from that meet and putting it back together and potentially getting something in the 940s. But I don't know if he's not careful, if he missed lifts, I think Mike's right on his heels.
Awesome. All right, that's it for the 120s. Moving on to 84 plus. Some surprising non-appearances by Alexis Jones, to be honest.
Hmm.
So we will not have Alexis Jones in that matchup for the 84 plus. With that, it's kind of a one woman show at the top with Bonica Brown.
Yeah,
Um,
this is one of those disrespectful dev moments.
Yeah, yeah, Dev will hop in here. This is definitely one of the disrespectful Dev moments because Bonica is not an outlier, and the person next behind Bonica is no 90 kilos behind her. That is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, what do we talk about when someone's 90 keys? That's you open and you win. Come on.
all right, then let's just go ahead straight to the pick, Steph.
I'm just going qualifying totals. Where we at? Bonica, Nicolette. How do you say that?
Nicolette.
Nicolette, and then Tashelle. I mean, this is such a spread. It's not going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, I I would agree with that. I mean, that's the reality.
Yep, I think we're all going to be copying with Bonica, Nicolette, and the Tachelle. Obviously, I know Alexis Jones is an incredible lifter. Sad to see
Mhm.
her not a part of this because she would be a very good battle with Bonica. But
Yeah,
I think we all have the same top three for 84 plus. I am excited to see if Bonica's back at her top form. I know she's kind of been up and down on where she is compared to her best. So hopefully, seeing a big, big total, especially with the international 84 pluses, just on an
yeah.
absolute tear. So Nita just, I've got to give a kind of off tangent shout out to So Nita squatting 318 at Euros to be the first woman to squat over 700 pounds raw. She missed 717 pounds, 325.5 at Sheffield, but knocked out the 318 at Euro. So finally, that is a thing, which is insane to say that there are women squatting over 700 pounds at this point.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think the interesting part of this class will be watching Bonica. She needs to crack like 700 at least, because I mean, at least in America, if you win nationals, we pretty much expect you to be like a chance at a national champion. If you're winning nationals sub 700, you're probably not going to Worlds and going to be in that discussion of winning. So I think as an American, we want to see all of our national champions who are actually going to Worlds, not a national champion because like a Sheffield guy sat out. We want to see you go and be competitive. So hopefully we can see Bonica
Yeah.
bump up her total a bit.
But I will
Yeah.
say Bonica is a pretty fun lifter to watch just as a whole. Like you can just tell that like she loves being on the platform. So it is refreshing sometimes to watch just someone like get out there and like just have a time, I will say.
Yep. And then 120 plus another Sheffield no show with Jesus, especially at the weights that the super heavies are lifting. I do not blame Jesus for not wanting to put 1,000 pounds back on his back again. But obviously with that, you kind of just have, I think, the three lifters who are in prime time. Ray Williams, it's always a blast to watch Ray Williams load over 1,000 pounds on his back and squat it. He hit a pretty casual 1,003 in training the other day, with the absolute high energy that Ray always brings. But I'm going to kind of just go basic here and go qualifying totals on the 120 plus and go Ray, Robert Lazarin, and then Robert Parisi. I think it's going to be a little bit of chalky 120 plus, but it will be very entertaining to watch. And what Dev kind of mentioned to see, can Rondel out total Ray will kind of be more the curiosity thing here.
Yeah, I'm the same way with you in terms of the qualifying total. I mean, the person behind Ray is 100 kilos. This is a disrespect class. Ray is fantastic. He's kind of losing his outlier status with Jesus, but 100 kilos gap is wild. Come on. So generic square 1, 2, 3 with the qualifying totals. But yeah, I think it will be pretty interesting to see if Ray will out total Rondell or vice versa. I'm not sure Rondell is coming in with as much steam as he would like. 'Cause I know he said like when he finally returns, he's just going to go balls to the wall and just put up what he can. But he learned about competing
Mm.
like right after he took like a 930 pound deadlift and fatigued himself a little bit. So I'm not sure we see prime Rondell, nor do I think he really cares to show prime Rondell right now. We all know what he's capable of. But
Yeah.
I think him and Ray are going to be very, very close in terms of total.
Um, well, I'm gonna go qualifying total, just like you guys. Uh, but yeah, I mean, I don't know if we talked about this when we were actually recording, but yeah, I think this competition is Rondel's ticket to an APF. I'm pretty sure.
Explain that if you have any more explanation, because I don't understand that.
I think that I mean, I was asking someone very knowledgeable in the sport. Um, why would he do this meet? And it's because get a qualifying total here so that he can go to NAPF so that he can get a wild card invite to Sheffield because his federation will not nominate him for worlds, but he can receive an invite from an international meet. But because Powerlifting America is not an international meet or nationals, he has to do NAPF, and I think that this is his entry ticket. And maybe this was discussed on his interview in Canada Lifts, but I did not watch that.
Ultimately, I think everyone can agree what's happened to Rondell is borderline criminal, 17-month suspension. It was a very targeted suspension to make sure he
Yeah.
couldn't do Trinidad and Tobago's nationals because it happened the month before. So I'm just excited to see Rondell on the platform. I hope
Yeah.
that he's right. I hope this gives him an avenue to go to NAPF and then Sheffield. Frankly, seeing the strongest lifter in a weight class not being able to compete is always frustrating. I'm sure Dev has a slightly different viewpoint just for his own selfish benefit, but I do think Rondell. I think right now Rondell has the chance if he can put up what he's capable of putting up, which is 1,050 to 1,100 kilos, which is just insane to say. I think there's a world by the next 24 months that we're saying firmly the female and male goats of powerlifting are Agata and Rondell. But I think before Rondell can be put in there, he has to put up what he can do in training on the platform. And hopefully we can see it by 2026 Sheffield, especially since 2026 is the double Sheffield year.
Hell
Yeah,
yeah, do it
I'll follow that
twice.
up. I'm actually on the same page as Joey. I want Rondell to be back. I know he's stronger than me. I know he's the best 120 in the world. There's no secret about that. He deserves to be at Worlds and to be at Sheffield. That's why I'm thinking Sheffield, you got your winners of Worlds and then like the best second place guy, I think in like one or two classes, and then wild cards. SPD runs Sheffield. SPD sponsors Rondell. If Rondell competes here as a guest and then he gets a invite directly off this competition to SPD, I wouldn't really care because he deserves to be there. I just don't understand how the US could nominate him for NAPFs if he's not American. That's my only
Well,
confusion.
we'll see. Maybe there's something way that Trinidad will be willing to nominate him. I know there's been a lot of
Maybe.
issues there, but either way, I just want to see Rondell on an international stage, and hopefully this is the route where we see him competing
Mhm.
here in April at PF American Nationals and July at NAPF or not at NAPF and then directly into next January at Sheffield. Either way, I want to see Rondell Hunt at Sheffield in January. And I think the whole world does. And I think if he's there, I think he is a very, very heavy favorite next year at Sheffield.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless someone bumps up the world record total at some point in between Sheffield and now. But one question I think the answer is, do you actually think Rondell will out total Ray? I'll go last.
I'm gonna go yes. I know you said that Rondell's not at his absolute peak. I also obviously think Ray's not his absolute peak. I think Ray continues to put up huge squat numbers, but I will say it's always hard for him to pull it together on deadlifts after such a heavy squat. I'm gonna have Ray at 1,000. I think I have Ray at 1,042, and I have Rondell at 1,050.
That's insane. I'll be honest with you, I didn't scout Rondell, so I don't think I can answer that question, but
Go off gut, go
Yeah,
off
yeah,
vibes.
gut feeling.
uh probably. I mean, I don't know if that's his goal,
I don't think it's his goals all at all.
but I think to come out and like make a statement at, your first meet back in a while, just do something mind-boggling. Um, so yeah, sure, why not?
Well,
Dev, I know you
I'm
want
gonna
to.
sound like a hater, bro, because I'm thinking he doesn't out total him, just because he doesn't care to. I think he has like a slight knee issue that he's been holding back his squats for a while, so I don't think he like PRs his squat. He'll probably like break my world record unofficially with bench, and then I don't think he pulls like the nine. It was like 425 kilos. He probably doesn't load that much. That's just this meet doesn't. It shouldn't mean that much to him in terms of like
Yeah,
his
but
pathway.
it's not like he's been competing all the time to have to hold back for something. So
I know, but like.
that's where I'd say I think he's going to go a lot harder than you're expecting just of the fact of when you're being held back from competing for as long as Rondell has. I
Yeah,
think he's doing it as a statement meet more than anything.
I'll say he
Mm.
falls between his best at 10:45 and Bob's best gym total at like 10:20. I think he falls in there. And I think Ray Williams is somewhere in that 10:20 range. I don't think he's going to go crazy.
Yeah, I have Rondell going even with a little bit less in squat, around 370 on squat. I have him benching 265, and I have him pulling 402 just to pull just over what Nonzo did recently at Euros. Nonzo just broke the world record at 400. I think he unofficially breaks the world record deadlift with 402 just to show he can.
Yeah.
But all right, I think that is all the weight classes. We can now join the
Yep.
group of people who do a preview show who has some random lifter mad at them for not picking
That's
them.
right.
As a
Ye
reminder, if you get this far, none of our picks are personal. Again,
Some of mine are.
two of the three picked weight classes where someone on this podcast is competing. So none of it's personal. We all want everyone to go 9 for 9 and crush their PR totals, but in sports, people pick predictions and we pick
Yeah.
predictions. So
And
hopefully it's not the only episode of Between Sets. And Jackie, you want to end us off here?
oh, well, I was just gonna say, I think I agree with the two white light sentiment of like, I mean, I don't post a lot of my training, but if you don't post your training, you can't be mad. You can't be mad.
I just want to echo that Joey said this. None of this is personal. We want everyone to go 9 for 9. I don't know who you're speaking for, brother. I do not want any of the 120s to go 9 for 9. I want to win very easily. This is personal.
I'll be getting married, so I can't be too much into the beef. So
Yeah, good luck. I scout that the marriage will go well. Yeah.
I hope you make weight,
And
Joey. Good
and I
luck.
don't
I
think that your dogs will bite anyone's ankles up the aisle.
there you go. That's the most important prediction. But all right, anything else, or are we just wrapping it up?
I mean, hopefully, well, first of all, thank you everyone if you made it through this whole thing or if you just skipped through, whatever. Glad you decided to listen to us yap. And hopefully this is not the only episode of Between Sets. And yeah, special shout out to Devin and Joey for being great yappers.
Always down
Yeah.
to yap about powerlifting.
Yeah.
All right,
Thanks for
peace
having
out.
us.
Yeah, that's all.
Peace out.
See ya.